Good morning, Raptor freaks. Lexi out here. It's Monday morning. The NBA season is over for the Toronto Raptors as of yesterday. Early game, so they got done early. So there's lots of time afterwards. So I did do some work yesterday afterwards on the season, crunching numbers, looking at stuff. In fact, I went over and took all the star ratings for the year, and I have a spreadsheet that I can present to you guys of who had the best star ratings for the season on both the 905 and the regular Toronto Raptors level. So that's something we can look at today, and just all the other regular stuff as we react to the final game of the season, a loss to the Miami Heat on the last day of the season. In some ways, that helped Miami in their positioning, but they didn't really move or anything. They actually just didn't keep home advantage and stayed where they were no matter what, even though they beat us. It didn't really matter. So, yeah, very, we lost by less to them. So, the one goal I had yesterday did get fulfilled. The Raptors did good enough in the garbage time in fourth quarter to close the gap. And I'm happy about that. I'll take it because there was improvement shown from Friday night to Sunday. Played the same team with two less good players on our team, and we ended the game with a better margin than Friday night. So I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Starko said nothing is guaranteed in this league, and that is a warning to guys on the Raptors that may not have anything in the future with the Raptors. That nothing is for granted, and guys in their spot in their league, they should not be taking it for granted. Let's just put it that way. Especially some of those guys that have been playing a lot of minutes for us near the end of the season. I will say that. You shouldn't be taking your NBA career lightly. You need to be coming out there right. So, yeah, let's react to the game. Let's react to the season to an extent. And, let's do what we do at 9:30 in the morning. Tomorrow, there will be Raptor Freak Trivia. And I'm not going to tell you what it's on. But we will have a trivia game tomorrow at 9:30 like we usually do in the offseason. So be ready if you love playing that game with me where I read questions and you write them in real quick. Fiercely Salsera, Ahmed, all you guys have played all year long. Well, we're on the home stretch. It's the playoffs. And it's the playoffs for the Raptor Freak Trivia. That's right. So, yeah, let's get into it. Let's do this thing. Yeah. All right, let's start at the top. Start at the top here with Trevor J. Trevor J was at the game yesterday. He was messaging us while he was at the game, telling us stuff like the weather is so nice in Miami right now. There's only half arena, not very full arena in Miami because he's at the game. And then immediately after the game, Trevor and his wife went to a yacht and got on the yacht and went and did what you do down there, I guess. He was just like, yeah, we're done. And the game's over. And it's like 3:00. And Trevor said, now I'm going to get on a yacht. And I'm like, all right, Trevor, you live your life. You live your life, the good life. Apparently, Trevor's yacht jetting and setting around there like Ric Flair. Woo! Trevor J's down there doing the Ric Flair lifestyle. Woo! Styling and profiling, going to the Miami Heat Raptors game and then getting on a yacht. There you go. That's the commissioner of fun. That sounds like fun to me, don't it? That sounds like a lot of fun. All right, Trevor, we'll do the cosmic card before I read your comment. Let's go, y'all. All right. First person to write in a full name on this card, as I show it on the screen, will get 100 points added to the Raptor Freak Trivia score. And there is a little mini Larry O'Brien trophy that the winner will win this year. And, yeah, it's pretty cool. Let me show it to you. It comes in a nice case. It's actually a Raptors Larry O'Brien trophy. Look at this. It says 2019 NBA champion Toronto Raptors. And it opens up. Or, wait, how does this open again? I got to remember. I think it goes, all right. Oh, yeah, there it is. All right. It opens up, and on the inside, it's got everything from, 5 years ago on the door inside. Look, it's got all the series from the championship run in 2019 for the Toronto Raptors, their first championship. And then it's got that, look at that Larry O'Brien. Look at how pretty it is. That's what you're playing for, Fiercey Salsera. This is the championship for the Raptor Freak Trivia, brought to you by David Saborin. So, yeah, you guys, that's keep your eyes on the prize, Raptor Freak Trivia players. This is what you want. You're going to try and get it once again tomorrow. All right, let's see. Where's the card? Let me get it out. No. We had a good card yesterday. It was Andrew Wiggins. Let's see who we got today. Oh, this is fun. This is a throwback. We'll have to see who knows this one. All right, we'll have to see who knows this one. All right, let me cover up the name, obviously. and we'll bring it up from the bottom. First, full name. Don't half-ass me. Write in the full name. I want first and last name because there's common names like Williams, Malik. Yeah, Williams is a very common name. So don't write in something like write in like Williams. It's Williams. Don't do that to me, please. Don't you know how many players played in this league named Williams? Because we're all time. We're not even just doing now when we do this classic card. So don't do that to me. Don't ever do that to me. Or write something in like Vince. Vince. Okay, Vince who? Vince who? You say what? You just think it's Carter? Vince who? It could be what's another Vince from back in the day? Well, there Jay Vincent. There could be Jay Vincent. You say Vince to me. Come on now. You got to give me the full name. All right, here we go. Here it is. Coming from the bottom, now here. All right, here we go. Oh, that might be enough right there. Does anybody know who that is? I think you might know who that is. Somebody write that in fast because honestly, you can tell who that is. If you've been watching for a long time, you'll know who that player is. Let's see who will get it. There we go. Bryce is in there first. Isaac, you're wrong. It's not Sean Marion. It's Tayshaun Prince. And Bryce Lawson on my screen has got it first. That is NBA champion Tayshaun Prince of the Detroit Pistons, Ben Wallace era. That's right. And Bryce and Smooth both got it. But on my screen, Bryce Lawson is in there first. That's right. Blake Griffin. What are you doing, Nako? That's not Blake Griffin. He's too skinny. Look at how skinny he is. Look how skinny he is. Yeah, that's Tayshaun. Tayshaun was actually my favorite Piston on that team. I did not like most of them. I hate Chauncey. Not a big fan of Chauncey. Not a big fan of Richard either. Ben Wallace is okay. Rashid was fun, but Tayshaun was my favorite. There you go. There he is from Kentucky. That's part of why he knows, because he's from Kentucky. Of course, Bryce's going to get the guy from Kentucky. Tayshaun Prince, NBA champion with Toronto Raptors. That's right. Yeah, who spelled it right? Well, in some ways, I don't care about that totally, Fiercey. I know they are spelled differently, and technically, Smooth spelled it correctly, and Bryce spelled it not correctly with the W, but I'm not going to take spelling away. He's written what the name is. So I'm going to actually give it to him. And actually, Smooth wrote Price as his last name, not Prince. So, yeah, they're both a little wrong. They're both a little wrong because it looks like Tayshaun Price there. Yeah. Yeah, he said Price. Well, in most cases, Bryce is first, and he got one of the names, the last name correct for sure. So we'll just go from there. We're going to give it to Bryce Lawson. Smooth is so greedy. No, he's not greedy. He's a very kind person. But, he's won so many. He's on his way up. Trust me. He's like fifth in the trivia without ever playing trivia, which is crazy. He has not played on Tuesday hardly at all and answered any of the questions. He's gotten only classic cards, and he's risen all the way up to fifth in our Raptor Freak trivia just in the last couple months from guessing the classic card. And Smooth Brown Man, he's been master at this game. He's the number one guy at this. Look, it's this shiny one, kind of like the Andrew Wiggins one yesterday. Yeah, all right. Let's get in the comments. Trevor's saying, good morning, Raptors family. Now that the dust's been settled, let's let the games begin so we can see who makes it and who gets put out and who have to go into rebuild. We already ahead of the game. Let's go, Raptors. I love Trevor's perspective. He's saying we're already ahead of the game because we're already out, and we know we got to rebuild this summer. And some of these teams are coming in the playoffs right now. They don't know yet that they're going to have to rebuild this summer because they're going to have an exit that is a little premature in the minds of the fan base or the franchise people that run it. And then all of a sudden, yeah, we've seen this trend recently. There's an overimportance on failure in the playoffs, and people overreact, like firing Coach Bud. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Some people might say, well, you guys overreacted when you fired Nick Nurse. No, we did not. Trust me, we did not overreact when we fired Nick Nurse. We had to do that. Yeah. Yeah, the dust is settled. Well, let's look at the matchups. Why don't we do that since Trevor's alluding to this? I'm going to look at the matchups for the brackets, and I'm going to kind of maybe go a little bit over who I think what will happen and stuff like that because we have our play-in set. We have most of our playoff matchups set up. So the play-in tournament on the east side, it ended up being the lower bracket Atlanta Hawks at Chicago and Miami at Philadelphia in the other one. Now, the way it works is the winner of the Miami-Philadelphia game will play the New York Knicks in the first round. So you can't go wrong with this play-in matchup. Either one of them going to play New York. And it's funny how New York flipped into the second seed in the East on the last day of the season, and the Milwaukee Bucks fell to third. In some ways, this actually helps out the Bucks, guys. I'm not gonna lie. That actually is helpful for the Bucks that they got Indiana in the first round, because that's a much more that's a better series for them. Let's just put it that way. I think that it's also not a bad series for Indiana either, and that they could actually really beat the Bucks in the first round. But that both those teams should be pretty happy with drawing each other, whether it's Milwaukee drawing Indiana or Indiana drawing Milwaukee. Now New York, because they're in the second seed now, they got to wait and see who's going to win between Miami and the Sixers. Now I could see this. If Joel does not play in the play-in game, maybe the Heat do something crazy and beat them, and they get the matchup with the Knicks. And the Knicks versus Heat is a classic NBA playoff matchup. It harkens to another time. Let's just put it that way. Knicks versus Heat. And that would be a fun first round. I'm going to tell you that right now. Even though I think the Knicks would beat the hell out of the Miami Heat, I think that will be nostalgic and it'll be fun. Now, if it's not them and it's Philly, that's fantastic too, because then all of a sudden you've got Nick Nurse and Kyle Lowry in them against OG and Precious and the Knicks. And in some ways, I could really, really say that I think the Knicks are going to beat either one of the teams to get through the play-in to face them, because they're just a better team than the two teams in the play-in, especially if Joel's out. And Miami's just not anywhere near they were last year. So it's a good matchup for New York in a lot of ways. Either one of them, it'll be fun, because in some ways Philadelphia and New York is a crazy rivalry also. So either way, the Knicks are going to get a crazy rivalry in the first round. They're either going to get Miami or they're going to get Philly, and that's fun. Now Philly loses, they got to play the winner of Chicago and Atlanta, and that team will get Boston. Now, I would love for Miami to lose. No, Miami to beat Philly, so that Philly has to go to the other playing game on Friday, and then they win then, and then it's a Sixers Celtics opening round. Oh my God. Talk about high drama. Talk about Lex being on cloud nine, because right away in the first round, the two teams I hate the most in the East are facing each other in the first round, and one of them will have to go right away. And I love it. I love it. I love the way that's shaped up. In some ways, I really like the dumb matchup between Orlando and Cleveland in the middle, because in some ways, both those teams ain't won no playoff series ever. I think really at all, hardly, like in recent times, Orlando and Cleveland. So one of them is going to win a playoff series this year. One of them is going to get past the first round, and that'll be interesting to see. In some ways, that's a push. I don't want to believe either one of them have an advantage. It's pretty even, and to the best team to win. But in some ways, I have my choice, I want Orlando to beat them and get to the second round and put the Cavs out in the first round. So that could be a lot of fun with that matchup too. So yeah, the East is looking pretty fun. I'm going to tell you right now, I like the matchups and where people landed, and I can see some fun stuff happening there. The dust settled out west also, and there's some crazy stuff. Now, I didn't look at detailed at the West as the East, but we can go over a little bit. It seems like this has been a playoff matchup every year for a while. The Clippers versus the Mavs, Kawhi versus Luka, Kawhi versus Paul George versus Kyrie Irving. You know, this is a superstar matchup. The Mavs versus the Clippers, and it's fun. It's fun. I believe in the Clippers if they're healthy to beat the Mavs. I think the Mavs got some defensive bigs this season during the trade deadline with PJ Washington and a couple other people. But Gafford. But I don't know. I don't know. I still believe that the little thing they're doing in Clippers land is going to get somewhat somewhere in the playoffs. And Dallas will be in trouble, and they'll go out in the first round. But doesn't it seem like the Clippers always play the Mavericks in the playoffs every year? The other middle matchup is the Timberwolves and the Suns. That's a pretty interesting matchup, actually. In some ways, they're very different teams. You got one team that is very defensively strong and one that isn't. And that'll be very interesting. The Suns have kind of been like the Bucks on the West side. They've been kind of in shambles and holding it together near the end of the season and not really looking good at this point. So I don't expect crazy big things from Durant and his guys. And Timberwolves should probably win this series, but I don't know. The Suns could do something special because they do have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. So it could be very interesting, that series. Then looking at the play-in situations for them, the bottom of the top play-in, it's the Lakers and the Pelicans on Tuesday, the first game. And you know what? Obviously, I want the Lakers to get their ass beat by the Pelicans. And I hope that is what happens. Zion, Brandon, Jonas, you guys just kick their butt, please. I think y'all have done well against the Lakers this season. I don't know exactly what the season series is, but you knock them down a peg, that means they're more likely to have to go play SGA in the first round. SGA and the Oklahoma City Thunder, the number one seed in the West for the playoffs. That'll be fun. Now, the other one is the Warriors and the Kings, and that's a classic rivalry. What a great play-in match. Of course, the Kings and Warriors had an amazing series last year in the playoffs, and, well, they get to play each other in the play-in this year. And in some ways, I just want the Kings to get something because I think the Warriors have had their time. Their dynasty's over. In some ways, they need to go ahead and destroy everything like we have and start the fuck over. But they won't. They'll hold on to those guys like Curry and Draymond as long as they can, and they'll be mysteriously bad, which they are. They are mysteriously bad. This year they were bad this year because of where they finished. And honestly, I want the Kings to just put their asses out because if they can put them out in one playing game, it'll be a failure this year, and they will start dismantling that dynastic core at the Golden State Warriors. I'm telling you right now. So depending on who gets where, they're going to be either playing the Nuggets or the Thunder. Now, it's funny because if the Lakers do win their playing game, well, guess who they get in the first round? This is hilarious. They get their daddy, the current coach of the champions, Michael Malone and the Denver Nuggets and Jokic. And we get to relive that bounce that they had last year in the Western Conference Finals to the Nuggets when the Lakers nation said, oh, we're in the Western Conference Finals. We're going to go to the finals. We're going to win again. No, you're not, because there's a big man named Jokic and a Canadian guy named Jamal Murray, and they're going to stop your ass again. Yeah, Lakers, win your playing game Tuesday, tomorrow, and go ahead and lose the Nuggets in the first round so we can laugh at you. And you can be seen as, once again, the wrong way to build a team and who you are, and you can see a team that is built right, that is a champion from last year, kick your butt in the first round. So, yeah, it'll be fun to see who SGA gets. Very awesome that the Oklahoma City Thunder got the number one seed in the West. Most of the outcomes of yesterday had them the favorite because of certain things with tiebreakers and things, and it went that way. That's a huge accomplishment for the team, the Oklahoma City Thunder, to be the number one team in the Western Conference this year. That is outstanding, and that's a huge leap from anywhere they've ever been in the past. I mean, even with Durant Thunder teams, this team is the best Thunder team that's ever existed currently right now. And I'm sure that people in Oklahoma City Thunder know this, and they are very excited about this playoff coming up. And in some ways, I'd really love to see the Thunder do very well and get very far because it'll make our young Canadian guy, SGA, look so good, and Lou Dort too. So, yeah, there's kind of my breakdown of how I see the playoff matches and how they're going. There's some hilarious stuff with the play-in teams. And if the Lakers get the Nuggets in the first round or the Celtics get the Sixers in the first round, that's going to be fun. I'm going to tell you that right now. That is going to be fun. Yeah, I'm excited. It did all go really interesting how all the games happened at the same time. At the end of our game with the Miami Heat, Spoelstra was looking at the score as soon as our game ended because he had to go look at what the other scores were going on because they were all ending at the same time too because he had no idea. Now, once Indiana beat Atlanta yesterday, all bets were off for getting any major traction into the playoffs for the Miami Heat. So, yeah, they won. They did what they had to do for themselves, but they had to wait for some other things to happen, and they didn't happen. So it didn't happen for them. There you go. Yeah. All right, so Trevor J saying, so who shall we keep and who definitely has to go? We need a big forward and a big center. All right, guys, I want to share a spreadsheet with you guys that I made yesterday, and it's basically what I did was I took the totals of all the stars of the game that I did the whole year. In fact, I should do the stars of the game for yesterday real fast. and we'll talk about it, and then it'll make you understand. So yesterday we lost. There were 3 stars a game, and for my point system is basically this: for games that we won, we had 5 stars. The number 1 star, say Siakam was the number 1 star of a game last fall because he was the best. He got 10 points, 10 star points for being the top player in a win. Now, if we lost, he'd get only 3 points if he was the top player. It would go 3, 2, 1 for the star. So if you were the 3rd star on a losing game, you would get only 1 point. Now, if you were the 5th star on a winning game, you would get 6 points. So basically, you're getting like major points if the team wins. And the star point system is weighted to show who helped contribute to wins more in certain ways, because their rating will be higher if they have more wins in there. So this spreadsheet will tell you who was most quality in star power leading towards wins, is what it kind of tells you at this point. So real quick, my stars for the game yesterday, my number 1 star was Jordan Nwora, actually, guys. I thought Nwora was the best Raptor yesterday. It was a day of stupidity. It was just a dumb end of go through the motions and finish. If anybody's going to sit out, the New York guys, I can't get mad at them. They're awesome. They're a big part of our future. And if IQ and RJ didn't want to play yesterday, so be it. In some ways, we played really well, considering that we didn't have anybody. But Nwora, 21 minutes, 6 of 10 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. He had a double-double to finish the season, 14 points, 11 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 turnovers, a -4. Not bad. I like Jordan last night. Jordan was part of the stuff at the end of the game that caught up on them. And, he's a 3-point threat, and he's just active. He hustles, and he's good for a good defensive play here and there. In some ways, I would like to reinvest in Jordan Nwora and have him come back. Trevor, if we're talking about what your question is, I like him. And I think that he is one of the guys that we got this season that I wouldn't mind coming back. My second star of the game was Kelly Olynyk. Kelly Olynyk came out there and he shot 5 for 9, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 4 turnovers. He shot 5 for 9, 1 for 3 from 3. Yeah, that's not even that great of a stat line, but that's what we're dealing with from yesterday. There's not very much pretty in the game from the Raptors yesterday. So we're just going to give Kelly, for his hard work, for just being Kelly, the second star. So he gets 2 star points for that. Jordan got 3 for that. Now, the last star of the game for the season is going to be Javon Freeman-Liberty. I'm going to go ahead and give a nod to JFL for his last game. Even though he only got 8 points, he shot 50%, 3 for 6, 0 for 2 from 3, 2 for 2 at the free throw line, 1 rebound, 7 assists, 2 blocks. He was a +1. So he was actually a plus in the game yesterday. So JFL, you got the last star point of the year. A 1 point. So let me put the spreadsheet in the chat on the bottom. And if you guys want to look at it, we can explain it. We will explain it. And basically what I found was, first of all, on the Raptors level, that Scotty Barnes collected the most star points for us this season. He got 229 star points. That's just adding up all the totals for the whole entire season and how he finished in that system I just described. Now, he played 60 games. So his star average is 3.82. That means he had 3.82 stars for every game that he played. Like, that's his average. And that's indicative of how often he's contributing in games at a level that helps. Whether that means he's played well enough that he gets recognition from me. So that's not bad right there, actually, the 3.8. The highest star average on our team for the year, though, was Siakam. And in some ways, that's indicative of him being more polished star, a guy who is at a higher level and contributing to winning. There were a lot of games that he won us that he was the top player. So Siakam had a lot of 10s added to his score. So being a 4.0 star average is pretty damn good. In 39 games, he acquired 156 star points last season. That's pretty damn good. So Scotty, number 1, he got 143 star points in 50 games, averaging 2.86 star points per game. The thing about Jakob Poeltl is that shows just how important he is to winning. Like, kind of this star point rating is kind of showing us who the important guys are to winning. Because the higher you're on to this, especially if you did in less games, you had a lot of star points. I mean, you won a lot of less games that you were in. So Jakob is the 3rd most important player this season, according to this. Gary Trent came in next with his total, but he played the most games the whole season out of all the Raptors. He played 70 games this year. No other Raptor played more games this year than Gary Trent. And in some ways, because of that, his average is a little bit lower. It's a 1.81. So that means he played a lot, but he didn't have quality overall in some ways. And that actually really speaks well to the indication that he wasn't consistent this year. So that's pretty interesting. Dennis Schroeder, actually fifth on this list. So Dennis was actually really, really good. Now, I know I'm a little bit more favorite to him, and that may be part of the reason why on my star ratings he's up there, because I would give him stars and stuff like that. But still, Dennis is there, 2.545 average on that. Not bad. RJ Barrett next in with a 3.72. Now you see his average is the third highest out of everybody's. Pascal first, Scotty second, and RJ third. Manuel is next, checking in with 101 star points in 36 games. Or that's not bad either. So yeah, you can look at this spreadsheet and you can see the green areas are obviously good. If it's in bold, that's the leader for that category. And if it's in red or very bright red, that is bad. And there's a couple players that have lower star averages, considering how much they played, and it's not that good. It's really interesting because Chris Boucher and Kelly Olynyk in some ways contribute the same amount of star points, but Kelly did it in half the games that Chris did. So that made his star average something different. So yeah, if you're interested in this spreadsheet, the link is there in the chat, and you can kind of see how I did it. And if there's any questions, I will answer them. There's a second sheet. If you flip to the next sheet, you can see the way I did it with the 905. And I found on that side, Mohamedou was the best 905 player with star power this year. He was the guy who got 118 star points. That's the most out of anybody in 39 games. So he averaged a 3.03 in star average for the 905. And then the rundown of the top 5 players in the 905 are Mohamedou, Kevin O'Banner, Javon Freeman Liberty, Justice Winslow, and Amari Moore. But yeah, on that one, you can also see who was, if you're in red, you're not a very efficient player. You're not a very efficient player. So that's kind of how that broke down. You can see Grady on there on both sheets, and it kind of tells you how many points they got on the other side, like 91 star points for Grady. He actually did better in the NBA than he did in the G League as far as his star power, which makes sense because he didn't do jack shit in the G League, and he did do a lot on the NBA team this year. So yeah, check that out. If you guys have any questions, I can definitely answer them. And yeah, it's just crunching the stats from my spreadsheet that I did with stars. Now, I'll be doing a bunch of stuff with the ref stuff too to give you a final report on the best and worst refs this season for the Raptors. Yeah, I'm gonna get in there and do that work soon. And there'll be a Sunday ref report going over the year with the refs with the Raptors. So yeah, all right, there you go. There's my spreadsheet. Now you've seen it. I don't know who we're gonna keep, Trevor, exactly. I have my favorites. There's certainly some that played for us recently that I do not want to see again. Malik Williams had his best game as a Raptor yesterday, but too little, too late. There's just a lot of things wrong with his game. The man has no lift, first of all. I wonder if his vertical is like this or something like that. The man can't jump for some reason. And then he has this ugly ass no arc shot that it really is more likely to hit the front of the rim than go in because it has no push up. There's things about Malik Williams that just piss me off because this guy got all the way to this point where he was starting for the Raptors recently. And why didn't he not learn basketball fundamentally correctly at any point before he came to the Raptors? Because there's so many things I saw him doing on the court in this stint on these 10 days that I'm like, this guy is not trained to be an NBA player. There's a lot that he's not doing correctly in fundamental ways that makes me think like, yeah, this guy's a waste. He's a waste. And I don't want to see him back. I don't want to see him back next year. He is definitely one I don't want to keep. Yeah. Dana's saying, good morning, everyone. What a weird season. Now we wait. Let's go Raptors. I came up with this yesterday, talking to Trevor J in the comments and Monique and the rest of them. I came up with the name for this season. We had the Tampa season. We had the pandemic season where we had to go in the bubble for the playoffs. Yeah, we've had that Philadelphia Joel Embiid steps on Scotty season. We had the DR DeRozan season. Well, this season's going to be called the Wedgie season because it seemed like this season there were a more than abundant amount of wedgies thrown into hitting in the goal. In fact, we had one last night to finish the season. Gary Trent Jr. wedgieing the ball on a three-point attempt. Like, that's just so this season, the wedgie. It just seems like it's such a representative thing of this season for us in a hard place, stuck in there and not going in the basket. Yeah, I'm gonna call this season the wedgie season because it seemed like there was more than average wedgies happening in our games all season. Didn't it feel like that? That like, oh, there's a wedgie again. The ball's stuck in between the rim and the backboard. Oh, again. I don't know if anybody kept the stat of wedgies in the season. I think the Raptors were leading the league in wedgies in their games. And yeah, I have never seen so many wedgies in a season until this season. So I'm officially calling this season the wedgie season because right at the end of the season, even we had a wedgie from Gary Trent wedging that ball in between the rim and the backboard. So that's what I'm gonna refer to it as. So if you hear me calling this season the wedgie season, you know which season I'm talking about. The wedgie season. In some ways, it fits as the wedgie season because it's a transitional season between the old and the new, and it's wedged in there, right in between. So that's the wedgie season. That's my descriptor of it. If you hear anybody else using that term to call this season the wedgie season, that's officially from me. Nobody gonna go around calling it the wedgie season. They probably won't. But if you do hear anybody take that term up, well, you'll know that it came from my mind yesterday watching that game yesterday. Trevor started laughing when I said that. I said, Trevor, this is the wedgie season. He's like laughing at me. That's funny. He's at the game. He looks at his phone. He's like, yeah, because Gary just wedged the ball in the goal. He's like, that's so funny, Rapper Street. Good stuff. Yeah, the wedgie season. That's what I want to call it, the wedgie season. Yeah, let's propagate that if you guys want to. Smooth saying, good morning, all. The offseason is underway. Yeah, way too soon. You know, the Raptors did not hang out in Miami after the game and get sunshine like Trevor J on a yacht. They had to come back to Toronto. And that's what's very much made clear by the broadcast that they had to come back because today they're clearing out their lockers this morning. Yeah, it's just part of it. They'll do a media day. They'll do the media interviews. Well, of course, we'll watch them and we'll talk about them on this channel. The exit interviews where we hear from the various important players and the GM and the coach about how they feel about how the season went and different things like that and what to expect for next year. I really appreciate the broadcasts of the TSN and Sportsnet, both of y'all, for showcasing vignettes at the end of the season with Bobby Webster and Darko Rajakovic, explaining the future and the things that are going on with our team better to casuals and idiot fans that may think some crazy ass shit. In particular, the vignettes with Bobby Webster have been very informative. We've heard some very interesting things, like he wants to develop RJ Barrett defensively. Just some really cool stuff that he's saying and his ideas about how they're going to handle this summer, too. There's a few nods in that also. So I love it. Darko said after the game yesterday that everything's set for the offseason already, that they've already met with all the players. They all know what they have to do this summer, and it's offseason, and they're just, he's already prepared. Let's just put it that way. He's on top of this shit. He didn't like lag to the end of the finish line for the season. No, he enthusiastically hit it, and he came right through it, and has all of his guys prepared for the summer to go in the right directions they are. Here, Grady, here is your package, and this is what we want you to do for this summer. Okay, please, if you have any questions, just call us. We'll tell you. We'll elaborate. Yeah. Some ways they asked Darko, "Are you going to take a vacation?" He's like, yes, he will take a vacation because he feels like he hasn't seen his family enough this season, and he'd like to see more time with his young family, and that makes sense, of course. The other thing that he said yesterday that was very interesting, I love this. He's like, if we're going to be out so early in the postseason, we're going to take advantage of this. In some ways, they're going to hit the ground running while the playoffs are going on and get extra development time and different things done while other teams are still in the heat of the battle till June. He says that this extra time will be very valuable and that in some ways, if it's going to be like this, we're going to gain it to our advantage. I've never heard a coach talk like this before after a losing season. Usually it's just like, yeah, we're going on vacation. We're going to see each other next year. Everybody's going to get a break. No, that's not what Darko's saying. It sounds like Darko's going to take like a week off and they're going to hit it right back. And in fact, the players are kind of excited to do this too. It's not like they're rushing away to try and just like start their summer. I mean, I'm sure they want time off and to rest their bodies and heal up and feel better. But I don't think that they're upset that Darko's like, yeah, we're going to work more. We're going to see each other. And I want y'all to come in together a lot this summer. I think that that's smart. If you're not going to be in the playoffs, usually your team's in a bad place. They don't like each other, and they're not willing to come together to practice during the playoffs with each other. But our team is, because they understand the bright future that's coming up, and they want to get started. In some ways, they're excited. It's like we just got started. Now the season's over. It's like, oh man, this sucks. Oh wait, I have so much gumption and momentum. I want to keep going. Grady's like, man, I've been playing so much well lately. I don't want this season to end right now. Well, go take a week or two and come back, and we'll start practicing as a group, even though we're not in the playoffs or anything. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I've never heard a coach say that before that's been eliminated from the playoffs, saying, yeah, we're going to take advantage of this extra time because we're off early and get more work in this summer. That's pretty cool, actually. In some ways, it's better than a team that goes in the playoffs and gets put out in the first round and kind of is like has a bad taste in their mouth. No, we're going to be doing stuff. And I love that about our coach. Seriously, always working. Always working. Tommy Dookie is here. Let's see what Tom's saying. Good morning. Even though some dust has settled, Mr. Ujiri's plan won't come to the fruition right away. As long as it's by season start in October, lots of factors. Glad that's over. Yeah, onwards and upwards. Yeah. This season is what it is. In some ways, this season may have been inevitable, and we were going to have to take this poison pill or this pill to swallow at least some point at some time. Some people will be derisive and say the Raptors should have bit this bullet a long time ago and did something with their assets before. I don't know. I mean, it's very much on the record why Masai decided to wait till now, to this season, to do it all at the trade deadline. He really did want to give these guys a good chance to do it with that core that we had at the beginning of the year. It just wasn't happening. And it may be partly that those guys were like, yeah, it's kind of like we know the option if we don't make this work, and maybe it is time to move on. I mean, there is a lot of built up energy and kind of things when you have a core and then things change, and it's kind of a weird thing. And in some ways, we did need to flush things a little bit this season. Just flush kind of old energy out and bring new energy in. And as Bobby Webster said, it makes it a little lighter around the team all of a sudden. So maybe things were a little too heavy at the beginning of the season in weird underlying ways. And, because I look at the season in the beginning and I'm like, I know we had a hard schedule. I know there was in-season tournament. I know that we had ref hit jobs and referees were doing shady shit to us. But with that team and the talent we had, we should have won way more. And that is really why we had to trade everybody away. Because I look at like our record in December last year, and that is horrible considering who we had healthy and who we had around our team at that time. The fact that we did like with what we did with the roster that we had near the end of the season, and that team was way more talented at the beginning of the season, and they didn't win enough at all. It was kind of weird how they were not winning. In some ways, I was like, man, what's going on here? So yeah, it is what it is. It was a journey. And well, some were left behind and some were brought forward. And in some things, some that were left behind, they've gone to other teams and they're doing what they do on other teams now. Let's go Raptors. That's right, Tommy. Trevor's saying WNBA season begins on May the 14th. Awesome. Okay, so I've got a little bit of time to get the league organized and talk to you guys about how to do it. I'm hoping Yahoo will pick up WNBA and start doing a Yahoo WNBA league, but I'm not holding my breath on that either, Trevor. Thanks for the heads up. Lots of stuff to look forward to. The draft lottery, the draft, summer league, and the WNBA. That's right, Trevor. I like it. Bryce is saying good morning to me. Good morning, Bryce, and good job getting Kentucky player Tayshaun Prince. There you go. Look at that shiny certified card right there. Certified. Bryce Lawson, certified Kentucky. That's right. Chris is here. I'm ready for the playoffs. I'm going to cheer on the Knicks and OKC. Yeah, those aren't bad teams to cheer for. I can get behind that. I respect that. Yeah, in some ways, look, what I've said, though, with New York, we've got to, with how cocky they're going to get. I've always used this comparison because I think it's very apropos. In the NBA, it's the Knicks. In the NHL, it's the Leafs. They have a lot of things that are like in common as being old, storied franchises that have not won very recently at all, that the city really, really, really cares about. And those fans, when they start getting some success, they get a little big in their britches. And that's the one thing, Chris, I'm not looking forward to with any kind of New York postseason success. Even with the Leafs, I worry about this with the NHL playoffs. If the Leafs do get past the first round, which did happen last year, but it didn't happen for many years before, the Leaf fans got crazy for a little bit. Even though they just won one series and got in the first round, they get a little big and like, it's really annoying because they can be very loud and obnoxious. And in some ways that they're feeling good, they can be assholes. Well, the same thing with the Knicks Nation. So I'm like, okay, I want them to do well because of Precious and OG, but also I don't want to deal with Knicks Nation getting all big and in their britches and kind of throwing weight around, talking trash and doing shit. Because in some ways, it's in the interest of a lot of people that Knicks fan nation is quiet and kind of not so sharp teeth because they're assholes. Trust me. And if they get feeling real good because of a deep playoff run, they're going to be talking a lot of more smack online and saying a lot more shit. So it's like the balance of it. It's like, oh yeah, I like the Knicks to do well, but also I understand what's going to happen if that happens. So OKC, on the other hand, they don't really have an online presence. And if they go all the way, well, good for them. There's going to be a bunch of small town people out in the middle of the country. They'll feel real good about OKC Thunder doing well. That's right. Yeah, Shere Khan's here. Good to see Shere Khan, Raptor Freak Rookie of the Year for last year. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. Well, here we are. Raptors went 6-27 post All-Star break to secure the Sixth-worth record with a chance to secure a potential gem if we do move up in the draft. Sar, Topic, Rissaker could be it. Yeah. Michael Grange has made his idea of what we should do known. He's saying if we do stay in the top, and depending on where we are, the two guys he wants us to draft, and this is very dubious and suspicious, he likes Donovan Clingham the best. And he says the Raptors need to draft Donovan Clingham if we get in the top 4 picks. He also put forth Reed Shepherd. Those are the two names that he likes the best as far as things. I'm like, whatever, Grange. I'm going to go listen to him. In some ways, he says that Reed Shepherd's skills translate to the NBA no matter what. He's not a question mark. If you draft Reed Shepherd, you're going to get an NBA player, and he's not going to fail. You're not. He's as he put it, he's like kind of player that won't be a bust in the NBA no matter what, because his skills are a certain way and they translate. That's what Grange is saying. But then he says that he's really big on Clingham. I don't know. I'm not big on Clingham. In some ways, really seriously, I don't necessarily want to get him as the center. We were going to draft one this year. But it'll be interesting to see what we do. Shere Khan, a lot of it's going to have to do is, well, are we going to keep in our spot or move up? If everything goes straight up how it's supposed to, we'll be in 6th and we'll keep our pick. If we jump up, well, we'll keep our pick. But if somebody jumps from behind us and they get to like 5th, like let's say that the Memphis Grizzlies get the 5th pick, and that will knock us back or something like that. That'll knock us back all the way to 7th, and then boom, San Antonio's got our pick. Either way, I'm going to spin it as a win for the Raptors, no matter what happens with our lottery pick. I'm going to say that right now. I'm going to spin it the right way. Trevor's saying we still have lots of more basketball to watch this summer. Olympics is coming. Watch out, Team Canada. Watch Team Canada medal. Yeah, medal. You wrote it like heavy metal. It's metal, MEDAL. I know you're probably reading it in, and the phone just spells out what they think you say. Yeah, a lot of basketball to watch this summer, but this is going to be kind of a dead period for Raptors and stuff that we kind of are interested in until the playoffs are over. So in some ways, we've got to just kind of sit on the outside and let the guys have the extra time to work out and do things behind the scenes. And we're just going to kind of wait because for me, the things don't get interesting until the draft lottery and then the lottery and then summer league. In some ways, the playoffs are great and enjoy them. Have a good time watching them, but I'm not going to be watching them. And in some ways, my content will be a lot less in the time while the playoffs are going on. I may increase my content for more time after when we have more going on. And I'm more settled with my move also. So that's part of it too. During the playoffs, I'm going to be moving. So this is somewhat convenient, actually, that the Raptors are already out, because with clear conscience, without having to feel like I have to cover them in the playoffs this season, I can move. I can go to Europe. I can do a bunch of stuff in the next 2 months and not worry about having to cover the team so closely because they are in contention. In some ways, I didn't want this from the beginning of the season. I didn't plan for this, but in some ways, this is the bright side of things. I don't have this distraction, and I can go do the things I got to do. That's right. Bryce is saying it's such a crazy season, but I can say I'm happy with how things are going. Big off season underway in hopes of good development. Big draft as well. It's getting exciting. Yeah. In some ways that, we got to look forward to the things we got to look forward to as Raptors fans for now, and they'll change over time. We'll look forward to prospects and bright futures, and hopefully we'll get more and more into those bright futures and see the results and winning and getting more and more places in the playoffs. But this year we're out. This year we're out. That's just how it is. Carlos saying, "Good morning, Raptor Freak family. Proud of us here, keeping it right on a tough season, keeping it light on a tough season." Yeah, I mean, in some ways, if they thought I was going to go away because we're losing and we're bottoming out, no, you ain't going to see me go away. In some ways, I'm a real one. I'm going to stick through it, just like Monique, just like a lot of y'all. We're going to stick through this with them. And in some ways, I made a commitment to do this stream every day. I'm going to still do it, regardless of whether we'll win or not. Hopefully, we can start building towards winning now that we've kind of bottomed out this season. Hopefully, we bottomed out. Yeah, I think we have. I don't know if we'll have to see how things go. I shouldn't just assume that everything's going to get better because who knows? We don't know what's going to happen. But I have a lot of faith in the people who are in charge, and I really like our coach. Seriously, I think that hiring Darko is going to be such a huge thing in the future that everybody's going to be really happy we did. Seriously, I really, really do see that. Let's see. Fiercey's here. Good to see Fiercey, Salsera. Good morning, fam, and happy Monday. Thank you for riding with the team. The season was so wild, but it's done. Onto a positive route, and remember, the future looks bright. That's right. What do you want me to get my glasses? Is that what you're saying? Future so bright, Timbuk3. That's right, and you got to wear them the right way. Future is very bright. I'm looking outside. It's so bright in my eyes because the future is bright for the Raptors, and I think Fiercey's right. I like that a lot of people are talking now more about that. It's not just Scotty in Toronto. Our media up here is talking about how our core, we have a big three core in some ways of Emmanuel, RJ, and Scotty, the barbecue core. So yeah, respect the Raptors barbecue core outside people. And don't just say, oh, they'd be good, but they only have Scotty. No, we have RJ and Emmanuel also. And don't slight them. Those guys may be all-stars in the very near future, in the years to come. So, yeah, don't slight them. Future's so bright, but I can't read the comments, so I'm going to take them off. Let's see. Tom's saying, shout out the Raptor Freak family, Raptors, Monique, and especially you, Lex, for extraordinary work and content. Tom, I thank you, man. And I appreciate your contributions yourself. I really love how you change the emoticons around and all the fun stuff you've done. And I appreciate you, man, Tommy. This season has been difficult, and it has been quite the ride. But, man, so nice to see you again when you came earlier this season to the in-season tournament game against the Celtics. And just, it was cool to go to more games with you. And thank you, Tom, once again. And I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. And you know what? I wouldn't do this if I didn't love it. And I didn't have a very, very, very strong passion for the Toronto Raptors. Name is saying, another year in the books. It's been a pleasure hanging with y'all, though, through the thick and the thin. That's right. In some ways, we go to another level of real ones. Are you a real one that you'll hang through the off season with me? Because, a lot of us do, not a lot of us, but some of us do say, like, well, the Raptors aren't playing right now. I may not watch Lex as much. And we'll get that kind of feeling. It was like, okay, we may not see some of y'all for the summer, and that's fine. Everybody's got to enjoy their summer the way they want to. And in some ways, watching me every day is not always the thing to do. But you guys come back in the fall, and it'd be like coming back to school. And you say, hey, I haven't seen you since the end of last year. Good to see you again. I love that. I have no problem with it. But there will be a lot of y'all that will stick with me all summer, too, and be here almost every day. And I appreciate those ones, too, because that's awesome. Yeah, Tom's saying, only reason I'm around is you all. There you go. It's a community. And in some ways, I love that has been a part of me doing this. I'm going to tell you, when I started this channel, that's not what I intended to do. I was just like any other YouTube guy who just wanted to make content and put it out. I was not interacting with anybody. I was just coming on and talking, doing a little spiel, and then go off. And then it just morphed. All of a sudden, I didn't even know that y'all could do that. And I saw somebody commenting to me. And I was like, wait, they're trying to talk to me. And then it was like we reached out and connected. And boom, all this other stuff happened like this. And in some ways, the live format and doing it this way, it suits me. In some ways, I don't want to be meticulous and try and do content and get it perfect and retake. No, that wasn't right. I did this wrong. No, I don't want to be like that. I'd rather just go on the fly and be live like this. Because in some ways, if I was trying to craft it, I might overdo it and spend way too long on like a 5-minute piece. So why not just spend no time and just jump in and do 3 hours instead? Fiercely saying that, Trevor, Jay, those I believe will definitely be staying are Scotty, RJ, IQ, Jakob, Kelly, Oshai, and Grady. I would say Garrett as well. And the rest, not sure. No, I like your list, Fiercely. I think it's right. I mean, I may put Wara in there also. But yeah, definitely Scotty, RJ, IQ, Jakob, Kelly, and Oshai and Grady because they're all under contract. So there's no disputing on those names because those are all the people that are on contract plus Jalen McDaniels. Garrett, I would love to see that. In fact, oh, man, I was thinking about the game from Garrett's perspective yesterday. What if this is Garrett Temple's last NBA game ever that he played in against Miami yesterday in Miami? In some ways, the last thing he ever did on NBA court was loft up a three and miss it at the buzzer at the end of the game. And that may be it. That may be it. In some ways, there's no things guaranteed. That's what Darko said. Nothing is guaranteed in the NBA world. And Garrett Temple knows that all too well, being 37 and playing so many years in the league. I mean, I wish him the best. I hope he can still play in this league and he still has a spot and it's on our team. But there's no guarantees. And he is one of the oldest players in this league. And every year there's guys that are just going to go off in the sunset and their career's over. Man, Garrett Temple, respect to you, man. In some ways, listen, you're kind of the most unlikely Raptors legend to me in some ways. There's a legend to Garrett Temple, seriously. And real ones that understand it will understand why I say that. Seriously, there's a legend to him. Seriously. Let's see. Let's keep going in the chat. Oh, it looks like somebody did a little drop on there. What is that? That is super chat or something? Chris, man, you are too kind. I appreciate you, man. That is really nice. It's a $20 super chat from MSJ. That is very kind of you, Chris. I appreciate you. Yeah, how can I get back to the comments? There you go. Very nice. And it's like orange with some, is that a bird guy? It's a bird sticker. Very, very cool. All right, let's see. Bryce is saying, also, I'm happy to have experienced this season with you guys. Y'all are awesome. Big ups to Lex and the Raptor Freak crew. Well, it makes getting through everything a little easier, right? In some ways, it's like, look, if we lose, at least you can come in here in the morning the next day, and if you have any angst about it, we'll work it out. Yeah, I feel like there is group therapy with this channel. And in some ways, that's why we, the day after the season, we can laugh and smile a little bit and kind of look at it with the perspective as like, you know what, we didn't do well this year, but you know what, we had fun and we enjoyed ourselves on the Raptor Freak channel for sure, for sure. Big ups to you, Bryce. Big ups to you. Callie's here. Good to see Callie. Callie, of course, has the stress meter. And, Callie can get really upset if the game's still close, and she has a swear jar also. She will throw the money in the swear jar if she's swearing at the game too much. Good morning, freaks. I'm excited for next year. I check in on your channel every time there's a game. Have a good summer. Yes, I figured that a lot of y'all are watching me, but not necessarily here for the live because I see the number's pretty good. There's like a regular 200 or so people that watch every day. And I appreciate that. And I know Callie's probably one of them. Callie, I always talk about your stress meter out of honor of you because of that fun we had that one year where we talked about it all the time. We check in with your stress meter. So you're always going to be the Callie stress meter, depending on how close the game and whether Callie's going to be cussing at the game. We're thinking about you. All right. Even if you're not here every day, we do think about you and we do bring you up from time to time. I'm sure you've heard that. And it's like, oh, I wonder what Callie's stress meter was last night. I'm sure it was off the charts. And maybe there was some money deposited. Yeah. Yeah. Good to see you, Callie. You have my heart and I appreciate you. So Fiercely saying, yes, Bryce, alley-oop to you. All right. You want to give Bryce an alley-oop? All right. Let's get Bryce Lawson an alley-oop. He's got the Isaiah Thomas 11. Look at that. Isaiah Thomas 11. I like it. Isaac's here. He's saying, I am just here for the dunks. Dunk at Tom Duke. All right. You want me to give a dunk to Tommy Dookie? We can do that. Tommy is let's see how many he's got now at this point. Where is Tom? Tom has got 40 dunks on the squarely 40. 40 dunks, Tommy. There you go. Thank you, Isaac, benevolent Isaac Campbell, for giving him a dunk. And that's the only reason why you're here, Isaac. Oh, Isaac's been really funny right at the end of the season. I'm going to tell you, man. He's been really funny. That eclipse joke still. Oh, my gosh. And then the half man, half child. Oh, come on, Isaac. Be nice. I mean, Kareem's funny. You are funny too, man. That eclipse joke. And then the joke about the Allen Iverson statue was really good. Really, really good. Tom saying, I pass it back to Isaac. His dunk. Whoa, look at this. Is this like what they did, the Heat did when Tyler Hero got on the break and he faked this out twice and then he just handed it to like the other Heat player and they dunked it? Is that what you just did just now, Tom Duke? Are you doing what they did to us yesterday in the game? Because that's what I feel like. All right, Isaac's getting a dunk. Let's see what he's got. Are you guys in cahoots? One hand washes the other. It's fine. You should be. All right. Isaac's got 58. 58 dunks for Isaac. Yeah, he's been funny lately. He got a 9-pointer the other day, 3 threes in a row. That's kind of what Gary did for a second in the game yesterday, right? He woke up all of a sudden because it was really kind of like Gary was playing like on Friday where he was lame and he shot 1 for 7 from three. I'm like, man, none of our guys are making threes. We had like 1 3-pointer in the beginning of the game. It was just stupid. The other team, the Heat, were making threes left and right, and we had like Grady make 1 3 in the first half, and Gary doing what he's been doing. Oshai missing very wide open threes in the corner was annoying me. And then later, Gary in the third quarter all of a sudden started to give us life. Like we were down by 20. And all of a sudden, Gary hit like 3 threes in a row and he cut their lead in half. And I'm like, well, if he can sustain this and carry us, he could bring us back and give us a chance to try and win this. But then near the end of the third quarter, Darko subbed in the bench guys again, Malik and them. And yeah, the lead grew right back to where it was at halftime. So it was kind of bullshit. That second quarter was awful. We let them score 43, almost doubling us up just in the second quarter. Things just fell apart in that quarter. Absolutely. It's like we had some sort of defensive stability in the first quarter. We were right there with them, tied with them at the end of the first quarter. And at some point in the second quarter, maybe it's the bench guys, once again, the unprofessional guys that aren't really totally NBA players. We have no defense. And boom, they're just going crazy. Tyler Hero bombing in the second quarter to separate them and give them a good lead by halftime. That second quarter absolutely sunk our game yesterday. And the defensive strength and what we were supposed to be doing at that time was not evident. It was not there at all. They were not helping each other. And I actually credit a lot to Spoelstra because honestly, he's a really good coach. He probably looked at a couple things in the first quarter and he said, well, this is too close, but I know how we can pick them apart. They have obvious glaring weaknesses. And it's really just to make an adjustment to really take us apart at our weaknesses, which is having no size or no capable big man at all. And well, he did a good job. He figured out how to do it and he busted that game wide open the second quarter. Yeah, Gary, I wish you could have hit your threes like you did in the third quarter more consistently throughout the whole game. That was a flurry, those 3 threes. And that was just like Isaac Campbell getting those 3 threes the other day, the 9-pointer. Yeah, it is what it is. The game is the game and the season's over. That's right. Cool Cat's here. Good morning, Raptor Freak crew. The good old days of basking in the basking in the champion. Yeah, we're getting interesting playoffs coming up. Let's go Pacers. That's what I'm saying, Cool Cat. That is my favorite team in the East, and that is the team I want to go to the finals. Siakam, Halliburton, Rick Carlisle, Miles Turner. Yeah, you guys go to the finals. Indiana has a history of going to the finals in the past. They have never won it, though. Maybe this could be also a year. Somehow, some way, we've had different NBA champions every year in the last few years. You know, the Pacers is not out of the question. It is not out of the question. You may not have the legs, but who knows? Who knows? Tom Duke saying, Cool Cat, seems like yesterday and a million years ago, basking in the championship. Well, once again, I will tell you guys, if you missed the championship year, I am reliving the championship year in my community tab. I have old clips from a show I did 5 years ago where I am opining and predicting things about the playoffs. And we're right around in the Orlando series 5 years ago right now. I believe we would have played them twice, and the series would be even 1-1 at this point. 5 years ago at this point. But if you want to relive that ride, definitely check out the community tab on this channel and click on my YouTube clips from the Kensington Variety VIP Club. Season 5 is the playoffs, and pretty much all those clips are about what was happening at that time. Bryce, if you ever wondered what the Raptor Freak would say about the championship run, well, you can go in there and actually hear me because I recorded it, and you can see me talking about it. And I even say stuff like, yeah, we're going to win. It's going to be an economic boon for Toronto. And I said that before we played the first game against Orlando. The playoffs had not even started. I basically said this. I feel like everybody's overlooking us because they're putting such an importance on the Milwaukee Bucks being the number 1 team with the best record this year. And they're really not paying attention that we're right there underneath them. It's the second best team in the league. And they're not giving us enough credit. And I said it, that we're going to do something special. And we did. We won the championship. It was awesome. Yeah. All right. Let's keep going. Fiercely saying, hi, Callie. Long time no see. Your stress meter was high this season, but it will be all right. That's right. In some ways, it gets to a point where it's like this. And it's like, yeah, I don't have stress about this. I know what's going to happen. In some ways, if we're competitive and we're really trying to win and like there's stakes to it, yeah, the stress meter will go up and be more intensified. So I think in some ways, I don't know. Callie might tell you it's like, yeah, this season was tough. And I hated all the losing, but I wasn't that stressed out because it was kind of like, yeah, this is what this is. Always good to see Callie for sure. And I love her coming in and saying hi. You know, I'm going to give Callie a dunk just for old time's sake. There she is on there. She doesn't even have a dunk for this year yet. You know, I'll give her a 3. You're getting a 3-pointer. OG Anunoby 3, Callie, for the new for this season, for the new year, because we just started in January with a new list. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Grady Dick. What? No, that's not Grady Dick. All right, Isaac. All right, let me see. Where am I? Oh, I jumped ahead. All right, I want to get back to the right spot. There's Grady. Okay, Nako is saying that this season was like a bowl of mediocre chocolate chips, bitter and sweet. Well, you know that chocolate isn't always sweet. It depends on how dark the chocolate is. You can get darker chocolate and it's not going to taste sweet to you. It can taste very bitter. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Nako. Okay. I mean, it is what it is. It's a learning experience. In some ways, it's invaluable for people like Darko in his first season to go through stuff like this because he's been through something. In some ways, he's a hardened veteran because of all of what was thrown at him. And in some ways, he's very successful this year, not by the win total, not by the outcome for the team. He's successful because he stayed consistent, set his culture, and he successfully got through the season in a positive way, building something instead of something just kind of spinning its wheel and not getting anywhere. No, he built something this year, and it looks real good going into the offseason. In some ways, it's kind of cool to see how he built something through all the tumultuous stuff, and he overcame it. Because seriously, a lot of people are going to say, okay, whatever, Raptor Street, what are you saying? It's like, listen, you don't understand. Darko built a culture. Darko built a system. Darko built something that these guys can believe in, and they believe in it. That's not bullshit. That is not me just like making spin up to try and make Darko look good. This is just the damn truth. And the broadcast said a lot. You can see it on the players. You can go ask RJ Barrett and stuff like that. How you feel about Darko? Because, man, he's a great coach. And honestly, I'm really, really excited about working with him more in the future because I know he's going to get more out of me and we're going to be a great team. You know, I'll bet you that's kind of what he would say right there. That's right. That's right. Fiercely saying Bryce wrote it first. We know who he meant. That's right. Cool Cat saying, anyone watching the WNBA draft this evening? Oh, they're having the actual draft tonight. No, I probably won't watch it, but of course we'll talk about it tomorrow, maybe a little bit. We can bring up any news about it that's interesting for sure. Cool Cat, yeah, we will definitely be keeping tabs on the WNBA. But as I said, until we actually officially have a WNBA team, I'm not going to go too in depth on it. It's kind of a preliminary feeling it out and kind of understanding the league and the landscape of it right now. But when we get our team on the ground running, I will focus on it just like I do for Team Canada and the Raptors and the Raptors 905. It's going to put some more work on my load, but I don't care. In some ways, it's Toronto or Canada basketball, and it matters to us. We will cover it. And I'm excited about getting more into the WNBA when we officially start with that. But in some ways, I don't want to jump into it too full in depth and use a lot of time watching it right now. I'll do the stuff with the fantasy league and learn more and more about it. But yeah, later when we're in there, I will definitely be on top of it. And I know that time will come. Superfan Monique is here. She retracted her message, but we love Monique. And once again, I'll remind everybody, our next Raptor Freak Hangout is June the 8th. It's a Saturday. Celebrate Monique's birthday with all of us at the NBA restaurant on June the 8th. We'll have a specific time for when we're meeting up there at another date before then. But preliminary, mark your calendar. If you can come down there. Cool Cat, come down there and meet Mo and I at the NBA restaurant. And yeah, of course, we've got to buy our own food. And it'd be nice if we could do it like a regular birthday party and bring Monique birthday gifts. That'd be very kind and nice to show nice tribute to the superfan Monique Lawrence and all the hard work and energy she puts into for cheering for our team. That's right. Let's see. Fiercely saying at Cool Cat, I'm watching 7:30 on ESPN. There you go. You're going to see Caitlin Clark, first pick in the draft. Juju Watson. I don't know who's going to be picked up there, who and when and where and what. In some ways, it's already set up. Indiana has to take Caitlin Clark because people are already making moves like they need. She's going to be on there. It's just pick Indiana. Would it be weird if they didn't pick her in the first pick? Would it be strange if, like, all of a sudden the Indiana Fever did not select Clark tonight? That would be a little weird. I would think it would be a little weird. It might be a real curveball if that happens. I don't think that will happen, though. Nako saying Hawks and Bulls need to rebuild for sure. I would love if Miami beat the Celtics in the first round. Well, that's asking a lot, and that is not likely. Let's just put it that way. I think the Miami Heat did good beating the Celtics last year. But in some ways, they're not in the right fight this time. In some ways, the Celtics are better than they were last year. In some ways, the Miami Heat are definitely not as good as they were last year. So I don't think that's likely. There's going to be some team that's going to take the Celtics out, but it might not be early in the season, in the postseason. I could see, if Philly does get them in the first round and Nick Nurse is smart and Embiid is healthy, they could fuck up the Celtics and put them out in the first round. In some ways, I'd like to see that, because Nick Nurse and Kyle Lowry getting some bubble playoff get back at the Celtics for a Game 7 win over us. A very, very close series. One of the best series in NBA playoff history, in some ways on the down low. This first time they ever played in the playoffs. That is the series that made NBA Chev a Raptors fan, just so you know. That was the series that made Chev open his eyes and say, these Raptors are actually fighting their asses off. And I really appreciate the way they do things. And I'm sick of the Knicks, so I'm switching. That seriously, I don't know if y'all knew that NBA Chev switched teams to the Raptors side with us when he saw how the Raptors fought the Celtics in a 7-game series in the bubble. So in some ways, if that matchup is Nick Nurse and Kyle Lowry against the Celtics in the first round, I want them to win in that one. I do, because in some ways I do want to see that. And I don't think that they'll get so far. And if they can beat the Celtics in the first round, hey, dumpster fire. That's right. Hawks and Bulls are different in what they need. The Hawks are just a mess. In some ways, they got to get rid of Trae Young. I think it's time for them to move on from Trae Young. It's just not going to work with him. I'd love for him to go to the Lakers, like everybody's saying, because he will be a mess there. And he's just a loser. He's not a good kind of player to win stuff. So in some ways, if Trae Young goes to the Lakers, that's good, because he'll block them from winning championships. Watch. Now, the Bulls, it's just sad what happened to them last couple of years. Lonzo Ball, you punk. And DeMar. I only care about DeMar when it comes to the Bulls. I heard that Caruso had an amazing game yesterday. And in some ways, I only care about DeMar. I just want DeMar to be happy. And in some ways, I know that what's happening in Chicago the last couple of years has just been a waste of time for him. And in some ways, he needs to go somewhere else and do some other things on another team. So I'm looking out for DeMar as far as that. Yeah. Naka's saying the Sixers don't make it out of the play-in without Embiid. Yeah. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And that's what I'm saying, man. You're going to have to rely on him so much for your strength of your team. And if he is just not on the court, well, your team's strength is really slashed a huge percentage, because just how much you lean on that big, huge Cameroonian center and really wanting him to carry y'all. Well, when he's not there, you need him to carry, and you're just not as good. That's very evident from what happened in your regular season this year, Sixers. So, yeah, they're damned if they do. They're damned if they don't. They put him out there. He may get hurt, and they don't have him anyway. If they rest him in precaution for the actual playoffs, and they say, yeah, we got this. Maxey will carry us through the play-in. That's a real gamble. That's a real gamble. And like Nako says, they don't get out of the play-in without Embiid, possibly. And I tend to agree with Gerald on that one. Maybe. I mean, we'll have to see. In some ways, Philly doesn't really belong in the play-in with those other 3 teams. Those other 3 teams belong in the play-in. Those are play-in teams. In some ways, it's crazy that Philly is in the play-in, because honestly, they should have been a playoff team full up. The way things have been going this season, they should have been a top 4 in the East playoff team. But no, they're in the play-in. That's just how much Joel is over important to the Sixers, that they get in that point. Yeah. Fiercely saying, fam, describe the season in one word. I'll start. Tumultuous. Yeah, I'll say metamorphosizing. Yeah, that's what I'll describe this season, because I really do feel like we molted or changed state of our pupate or whatever. We went to, like, we were like a butterfly. We were in a cocoon, and now we're kind of like out with our wings now. Before, we were kind of just rolling around on the ground like a grub. I don't know. I feel like we've gone through a transformation. And I feel like that it was a hard growing pains kind of thing. And it was right in the middle of the season, right in the middle of competition and everything. A lot of teams like to do that in the off season and not around the trade deadline, and so much around New Year's like we did. but we did in the middle of the season. That's really difficult. In some ways, I learned some lessons about doing that I'm like, don't fucking do that again, Bobby. This is one thing I learned. Let's stop. Let's not trade like very important starters from our team on days of games. Let's not do that. Like, if we can do most of our business in the off season, that would be great, because doing business in the middle of the season really does fuck things up, and it can really make things kind of crazy and weird. And that's a big part of it all. It's like making these big trades, like the day we lost to Detroit and ended their crazy losing streak, the day we traded OG for RJ and Emmanuel. Yeah, that was really hard to do. And in some ways, those games on those days when we trade people, now the day we traded Pascal, we actually won. But, a lot of those times when those transitions are happening in the middle of the season, they're very disruptive in all kinds of ways. In some ways, you've got to really want to do it if you want to trade people in the middle of the season. And honestly, I wouldn't do so many trades in the middle of the season like we did this season. We're not a team that does a lot of movement and trades, and historically in the last few years. And doing so much this season and seeing the effect of how much change really made it hard for us to get set and keep going. There was just this change with the OG trade, this change with Pascal, this change at the trade deadline with Dennis and Thad and them leaving, and Kelly and Oshai coming in. So there's a lot of transitional change periods. And like we said, there was like a period of spicy barbecue. There's a period after Spicy got traded and Dennis was still here without Spicy. There's like 6 different seasons this year, and it's crazy. 6 different seasons. So a lot of transitional change. Monique saying, good morning, Raptor Freak family. Lopsided season, but looking forward to next season. Yeah. Too many too many losses and not enough W's is how I look at it. Yeah. Cool Cat saying, my Masai-like statement, only one winner, so lots of more opportunities to improve our roster. Laugh out loud. Yeah, that's a very devious statement by our guy, Ujiri, because he's going to capitalize on people having misery from exiting the playoffs, maybe a little disruption of good feelings, Giannis, different people. Yeah, he wants to go and see just the drama of the summer and the fallout of the dumpster fires. And maybe there's a little way he can game it for our advantage with some sort of move or something like that. Yep, Cool Cat, you're exactly right. I'm going to give you a dunk because that is exactly something that Masai is thinking right now. I know for a fact he's thinking that right now. You got a 36, Cool Cat. 36 dunks for Cool Cat. All right, let's see. What are we doing next? We've got Nameless is here. Nameless is saying Waquez snapped the shins of McDaniels. If he made that shot, you never stop seeing it. Yeah, McDaniels was weird. In some ways, he's a fail. In some ways, it is what it is with him. He hit knees with somebody in some point in the last 2 games, and it looked like he was really hurt. And I was like, oh, okay, let's just add another one to the list, because it looked like he wasn't even going to be able to walk, but he continued to play. And I was wondering, like, well, what if he had really hurt himself? Would they just keep continuing to play? Because it's just Jalen. We don't care. It's Jalen McDaniels. Nobody stops a game for injuries anymore. It's very weird. Yeah, Jalen, 23 minutes, 2 of 7 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, 2 for 2. 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 7 points in 23 minutes. Yeah, nothing to shout out to. Garrett Temple in his last game of the season, 1 for 8, 1 for 5 from 3, 6 for 6 at the free throw line, though. 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 9 points, a +3, the highest plus-minus on our team yesterday. Garrett Temple being professional right up until the end. And he knew he was going to have to play on Sunday, and he did. He did. It wasn't bad. Bruce Brown, 3 for 5, 0 for 1 from 3, 0 for 1 at the free throw line. Absolutely not a single stat otherwise. This man didn't have 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, or block. I don't know how you do that. Little scooting around, I guess. 6 points in 20 minutes, a -16, one of the worst plus-minuses on the team yesterday. Bruce Brown. Malik Williams, 3 for 7. As I said, his best game so far as a Raptor. He actually did hit some shots. 0 for 1 from 3, only 4 rebounds, and 6 points in 11 minutes. He didn't play a super lot because in some ways he wasn't that good. Looking at the starters that I didn't talk about already, Gary, 6 for 14, 3 for 8. We talked about him kind of making those 3 threes in a flurry. It all came dumped within like a minute and a half of threes with Gary, and that's it. You just had that one point where he was super hot, and boom, he was hitting all of them then, but otherwise he wasn't hitting them otherwise. 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 18 points for Gary. Yeah, in some ways it's like, look, Gary, man, you were the leading scorer, but I can't give you a star because in some ways I'm pissed at you for like having a 1.5 minute time of awesomeness. The rest of it was just kind of disappointment. Let's see. Abaji is always doing good things out there. He did start again, 4 for 11, but the oath for three from the three was very glaring. In some ways, I said nice things about your 3-point shot, Abaji, and then you went out there and you showed good form, but you still missed them. That pissed me off. 4 offensive rebounds for Abaji, which is awesome. 6 altogether, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 10 points in the last game of the season. And then Grady. Grady was fine. 5 for 13, 1 of 5 from 3. We only made like 9 threes for the game, and it's sad. We should have made way more. 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals. The steals are great by Grady. He's really, really good. And he's been rebounded so well, too. 14 points for Grady in the last game of the season. His rookie season, really a ride, and it looked real good near the end there. Grady Dick. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, Jaquez was pretty good. He wasn't as good in this game as he was in the first game. The first game, he was really kind of the guy being a problem. But, yeah, he wasn't bad in this one either. Jaquez, yeah, 18 points for him, a plus 25, 6 of 12 shooting. Yeah, he's a solid player. And once again, I will remind everybody, he is 3 years older than Grady as a rookie. And in some ways, he's more polished and a little bit more older, bigger, and wiser in that way. But they're similar players in some ways in play style. I will say Grady's a better three-point shooter than Vasquez. But in some ways, a lot of the action near the basket and attacking the rim is similar what Grady and Vasquez can do. It's really cool to see DeLon Wright, 4 for 7, 3 for 5 from 3, 4 assists, 4 steals, 3 rebounds. He was very good. And honestly, if he's a free agent, he's somebody I would say, hey, go get. Thomas Bryant getting in there because Kevin Love got hurt, and he was doing real good too. Thomas Bryant, 8 for 10, double-double, 18 points, 10 rebounds. Very, very good when he got out there, too. They played like 15 players. So there were a lot of Heat players on the court yesterday. So let's see. All right. Where am I? I'm right here. Kareem saying, every time I hear Heat versus Knicks, I think of Jeff Van Gundy holding on for dear life. Yeah, that's one of the iconic images of those old series. And that's what I'm saying. Think about it, Kareem. Think about the old memories of Miami versus New York playoff series. And Pat Riley's still around. That's the funny thing. He's still in charge of the Heat. So you can draw him in. You can come see him at the front row or Madison Square Garden watching the Heat play against the Knicks in the playoffs. Yeah, that's going to bring back old memories. Why don't you just go invite Kurt Thomas and Alonzo Mourning and the rest of them, Larry Johnson, come on down and sit there and show everybody the whole clips. Yeah, we'll have to see how that goes with how it all susses out. But yeah, the Knicks getting to the second seed yesterday is actually pretty funny considering the matchups that can be lining up now. Yeah, Van Gundy was on the ground and with his arm around the ankle of, I think it was Alonzo Mourning. Oh, that was funny. Yeah, it was a good time. Chris is saying, I like the Mavs since Gafford and yeah, nameless. What was with that McDaniels? Looks like he broke his leg. I was really worried that he really hurt himself. And I was like, nobody's going to stop the game. It's like he's still on the court. I saw Garrett look back at him. Like Garrett's, you couldn't see him off camera, but Garrett's like looking back down the court, like wondering if he's okay is kind of what's happening. But he did get up and he kind of hobbled over and continued to play. Yeah, every single time a Raptor like Abaji hitting the floor hard recently, yeah, your breath kind of goes, and then you're like, okay, this season's just crazy. In some ways, you guys weren't that worried about Jalen, though. I'm sure you weren't. I'm sure you were not really that. Yeah, Chris, the additions that the Mavs did and the subtractions really helped their team look a lot better going into the postseason. And that was the biggest thing they're missing. Even when they had Porzingis, they did not have good size up front, and they didn't have the best kind of big blocky guys. Well, PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford have really filled that need for them and given them a whole other defensive side, some rim protection. And yeah, it's worked out real well. And then also getting rid of Grant Williams was a real plus for them. Seriously, that guy is such a punk. He can be hidden in the NBA machine on the Celtics. For many years he was, for being a little shit. But now he's just a regular player on any team in the league going all over the place. Yeah, people think he's an asshole, and they're shuffling him along. I heard that Grant Williams didn't get along with Luka, and that's why he got traded midseason this year, even though he was a big acquisition for the Mavericks in the offseason last year. So, yeah, I think that they improved by making that change, PJ Washington coming in and Grant Williams going to Charlotte. Yeah. Name of saying I'm really excited about this year's playoffs. Well, you go ahead. I'm really excited about moving the country. Yeah, well, I'm glad you are, and I'm sure it's gonna be exciting. In some ways, Adam Silver is making it more competitive and more enticing in some ways. It's just, man, the gambling thing is gonna screw you up in the end. Watch out, Adam Silver. I'm gonna say that. Is watch out. All right, let's see. Monique wants me to do a scout. All right, Monique has not asked me to do a scout, but we're gonna do it now, and we're doing Scotty's friend Jonathan Mogbo. Now, I have not really watched Jonathan. I have not done a real scout on him yet. So let's do it now. This is Monique Superfan Lawrence's request. We're going to go look at Jonathan Mogbo. I don't remember if he has a Wikipedia. I do not think he does, which is too bad. Let me put him in because I don't think he's that famous. Let me just see if I can find anything on him. All right, let's see. Yeah, there's no Wikipedia page on this kid. So I'm going to have to go and look at his profile somewhere else. Let's go to ESPN. It looks like that's a good place to look. ESPN. Jonathan Mogbo. He's from the San Francisco Dons. He's from West Palm Beach. This is why he's friends with Scotty, because he's from the same town as him. 6'8", 225 pounds. Let's see. What else do they have on him? That's really it. He's played for Missouri State and San Francisco Dons. What is San Francisco Dons? Is that actually a college team? Like the University of San Francisco Dons? That's a weird one. I never heard of that. Yeah, it's a college team. And that's who he played for this year, is San Francisco. All right, we got a little bit about him. It's not a good sign that he doesn't have a Wikipedia. Let's just put it that way. In some ways, Scotty may want to get him in the league, but that does not mean he will, because honestly, if you don't have a Wikipedia, that's usually a sign you're not even on the radar. That's what I'll just say, Monique, just so you know. We know Scotty loves his kid because he's his friend, and he may not be realistic about his chances to be an NBA player. He's just trying to help him by putting his name out there. I really feel like that may be what's going on here, Mo, just so you know. Let's do the 4-minute clip here. Jonathan, 6'8", playmaking, big is what they described him as. Third most dunks in the NCAA is what they're saying. Wow. Okay, so he just got a lob and he threw it down. Here we go. He's got the ball like he's a point guard. He gets around the guy and he throws it down on him. So it's 2 dunks, 2 highlights, 2 dunks. Here he is on the outside. He's doing there's a little nice go around. He's actually very interesting. This is very interesting. Okay, so maybe Scott's got something to this. Now, I will say, if Scotty likes his kid and he's talking to Messiah and them, they may draft him just to make Scotty happy. I don't know if this guy is I don't know. Where is he getting projected? Is he even in the draft projections? Everything he's doing is a dunk. This is the crazy thing. Everything he's doing in this clip is a dunk. They're either lobs. He's done some nice pick and rolls. There's a pick and roll lob there. I would say this. I don't know if we should draft him with the first pick in the second round. I don't know if he'll not get drafted and maybe he'll be undrafted at the end of the year. I don't know how to deal with this. In some ways, he does look good, but I have to also remember that he may not be playing against very good NCAA here. This is not Division I, is what he's doing here. This is definitely not Division I. I'm looking at some of the players out there, and they don't look like. There's a nice block by him. Okay, there's a defensive highlight. Here's the next one. He comes from the weak side. He's not even guarding the guy, and he blocks him from the side. All right, 6'8", playmaking big. So he does play a little bit of point guard. In some ways, he plays a little bit like Scotty. I'm not gonna lie. 6'8" guy who's trying to pass to everybody. Oh yeah, that's nice. That's not court. That's a very, very good cut by the guy getting on the basket, and he had the vision to get it right to him. Yeah, Jonathan's not bad, honestly. He's not bad. My eye test pretty good. Ooh, look, he got in the passing lane, got a steal, and he runs it down the court and jams it. I think that I kind of remember Jonathan being around the Twitch streams, honestly. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, he's not bad. I mean, Scotty likes him, and he tells Masai he wants him on the team. I wouldn't be upset. The guy has the 3rd most dunks in NCAA this year, and it's evident from that highlight I just watched. Lobs, just straight up dunks. He's doing some steal stuff, and also doing a couple things out there that look very guard oriented. For 6'8", yeah, there may be some versatility there. That may be a guy that Masai's thinking about, especially if Scotty's putting him in his ear. All right, good job, Mo. I was wanting to watch him at some point, and thank you for bringing him up today. so I could go look at him. And now I kind of understand him, who he is. Name is saying, been a while. Raptors fans have been in this position, watching from the outside with no horse in the race. Technically, in the last 4 years, we have not made the playoffs 3 out of those last 4 years. There's Tampa. Then there's last year. We made the play-in, but that doesn't count in the NBA's history. They say that we missed the playoffs last year too. So technically, we have missed the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 years. And that Philadelphia series is the only year we actually made the playoffs recently. So this is not a new position in some ways. Smooth saying, I think the loser of the 7-8 in the West plays the winner of the Kings and Warriors. And the winner of that gets the 8th seed. Potentially no Lakers or Warriors. Please let that happen. It could very well happen that way. For that to happen, the Pelicans beat the Lakers and they go on to play the Nuggets. No, they go on to play, the Nuggets. And then the loser, the Lakers would have to play. Well, the Warriors get beat by the Kings, they're out. And and then the Kings could beat the Lakers in the next play-in, and they're out too. So the Warriors and the Lakers could both be out in the play-in. That is exactly right, Smooth. And then the Kings would be playing the Thunder in the first round, and the Nuggets will get the Pelicans. Yeah, that's how that would work if that was to happen that way. That is how it would work. And the Warriors would have to be beaten, and the Warriors would have to be beat. The Kings would beat the Warriors and the Lakers and put them out. Now, Sacramento, you up for that? Those fans would love that, to put out 2 arch rivals in the play-in tournament, the Warriors and the Lakers. If the Kings can pull that off, they're going to kind of feel like they won playoffs already. They can eliminate the Lakers and the Warriors in the play-in. Yeah, Kings Nation is going to be very, very happy. Trust me. Chris is saying, I would not bet against the Lakers. They run their set well and be an issue. They may be an issue. Just glad OKC will avoid them. Well, they won't avoid them forever. I don't think they're as good as you say they are. I mean, a lot of it hinges on Davis. If he is healthy and he can be out there at a high level and he's playing well, that's the other thing. Davis, there's different levels of Anthony Davis. There's healthy Anthony Davis, like Pelicans Anthony Davis, that shows up and kicks ass and gets like 25 points and 15 rebounds and like 4 blocks. Then there's an Anthony Davis that's hurt all the time and he's not even available. In the middle, there's an Anthony Davis that's hurt on the down low who doesn't actually do jack shit in the game, but he's out there playing still. So in some ways, you got to wonder which Anthony Davis you're going to get. You're going to get Anthony Davis at his potential. You're going to get Anthony Davis doing cardio on the down low hurt, but just out there because he's trying to play, or you're just not going to get him. And that will determine the strength of that team. And in some ways, they go as well as they do with Davis. Forget about LeBron. Forget about all the other motherfuckers on the Lakers. The Davis is the person that will get them far, as much as Embiid will get the Sixers anywhere. So no Davis, they ain't doing jack shit. They ain't doing jack shit. And they have to rely on a guy who's very injury prone to survive the playoffs. I'm telling you, it's not going to look good. It's not going to look good. I'll bet against them. I will. And I have. I did yesterday. No, I'm just kidding. I don't bet. Let's see. Seymour saying the loss of Koloko Porter due to injuries was a key factor in the underachieving season. I mean, they didn't help. In some ways, it hurts us for the future also, because those were both really good center prospects that were absolutely dream godsends and had fallen in our lap, but they both did not work out for different reasons. And it is what it is. I mean, that's kind of like, to me, the extras on the side. It's kind of like the decorations. The cake is something different. The injuries of Scotty is a big part of it. The confusion of the transition of the old guys leaving and the new guys coming in and getting oriented, that's a big part of it too. I won't say that those 2 guys in particular, but they're just part of the whole thing. And that was just really confusing and sucks. Yeah. Bryce Lawson saying stars of the year? Huh? Yeah, I got there's the link, a Google document where I have a spreadsheet of the stars of the year and my rankings of who are the stars of the year. The 5 stars of the year for the Raptors this year. Number 1 star, Scotty Barnes. Number 2 star, Pascal Siakam. Number 3 star, Jakob Poeltl. Number 4 star, Gary Trent Jr. I don't know if I should make Gary the 4 star. And then the 5th star, Dennis Schroeder. Those are the 5 stars of the year as far as their contributions over how long they were there and the quality of it. They had the most stars over the year. Those 5 Raptors, past and present. That's right. Let's see. Seymour saying 0. Nobody was a star of the season. Let's be real. No, I would say Scotty was the star of our season when he was healthy. I mean, the growth and the things that he did is very exciting. He's an all-star this year. That's a huge accomplishment. He got his first all-star appearance. So no, I can't say that. I cannot say that. We had a star, and his name was Scotty. We got other stars too, and their names are RJ and IQ. That's right. Now Nako's saying I'm expecting the what? He's expecting the Google document spreadsheet to go look at the stars of the game. First page is the Raptors. Second page is the Raptors 905, and you can see how my stars of the game crunched at the end. Yeah, Mo's saying let's be real here. I'm not really paying attention to the playoffs. I'll probably just look at the scores, but I really care like Trevor does. Yeah, I'm the same way. In some ways, I invest so much time watching Raptors during the season. If they were in the playoffs, I'd invest some more. But otherwise, I'm not investing time like a crazy NBA junkie that watches all the playoff games. I know some people are going to do that. But to me, I don't have the time. And in some ways, if it's not my team, I'm not going to invest the time. I'll do exactly what Monique is saying. I'll look at the scores. I may even investigate the box score a little bit to see if I can see exactly how it went down. In some ways, I can figure it out that way with just the box score and maybe a 2-minute highlight clip of that game in particular is all I need to see or know about. I know there's going to be drama in this playoff, and I will be reacting to it and talking about it. But it may be more of just like saying, like, yeah, this happened, and this is probably what's going to happen in this series, and this team's probably going to be out. That kind of stuff I may be saying. But I'm not going to go in depth. And Monique, she's got other things she got to do with her life too coming up right now. That's right. Shir Khan saying Shepard, Dillingham, and Castle are in that second tier of prospects who can become definite role players, fringe all-stars. Flipowski should be given consideration at the Indy draft spot, and Edie is a must at the Detroit draft spot. Yeah, I like how you're describing this. And Shir Khan, often you and I agree a lot. And I don't mind this, what you're saying here. I don't know if Phil Flipowski is my guy, though. I think I did watch him very early on, but he does not stick out of my mind. So I don't think I was really big on him. Yeah, those are the names in the top 10 of the kind of guards that I've been seeing. Reed Shepard, Dillingham, and Castle of UConn. Those are the guys that you think that they're just a surefire role player in the NBA, no matter what. These guys will make the NBA and they'll be sound role players, and that's the at least the bare minimum. They won't be busts. In some ways, that may be smart to draft for security and not making a bust. This draft looks like there's going to be busts, and that's the thing that the GMs need to figure out for this one is they don't want me carrying no busts like somebody did not do well and they flame out. There's very much those kind of chances to screw up in this draft this year because there's going to be some guys like this. Some people may say that our guy Edie is one of these guys, that somebody may try and draft them very high and it turns out to be a huge bust. So there is some risk with drafting Zach Edey. And I don't know. We'll have to see how it all pans out. I don't live on the moon. I'm going to let Bobby and Masai do what they do as astronauts living on the moon called GM Moon. They know GM work. I'll let them do GM stuff. That's right. 3-20 without Scotty. What a stat. I'm sure it's a similar looking stat without Jakob too. Yeah, the one stat that people were pushing around yesterday is when we had RJ, Emmanuel, Jakob, and Scotty together, we were 7-7, exactly 500. Some ways that's not good, but there's promise in that. And also that's 500 without playing together very long and them just thrown together in the mix right away. Now, if they're together more, they can craft that and get better than 500 with that nucleus. Trust me. Some people will say, well, that's not a good sign, Lex. That's a 500 team with our best guys. Yeah, but they just showed up. Emmanuel and RJ had not played very much with Jakob or Scotty, and they were already getting good 500 ball results. They go into training camp, they have plays together, and they understand each other better. That will go up. It'll be higher than a 500 winning percentage. Some of that is also the section of the season where they were, and maybe some of the things that were going on with the other team factor into whether that was 500 or above 500 in some ways. Yeah. Fiercely saying, Scotty is the star. Lex, I don't see Malik Williams on the spreadsheet. That's because Malik Williams never got a star, Fiercey. No, that's only for the Raptors that showed up and played and actually made a star at some point during the season. That's what I'm saying. You can look on there. Jeffrey Dowtin Jr. is on the list, because he played in one of the preseason games and actually had a good game, and he got the second star of the game in a loss in the preseason. So you got 2 star points. But I put that all in gray to signify it was the preseason, so it shouldn't count. It's the same thing as Mohamedou didn't get any stars in the regular season, but he did get 1 star in the preseason, and that's why that's like that. You look at DJ Carton. DJ Carton only played 4 games for us this season, but he got 6 star points. That's pretty damn good. And that's true because there was one game that he played really good in a win. He was the 3rd star in one of our wins this year, or no, the 5th star in one of our wins. So that it went 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and the 5th star got 6 points. So him contributing to a win as one of the top 5 players that night got him 6 star points. That's how I can describe that to you. So that was just one game out of the 4 that DJ Carton played really well, and that's how he got that there. So yeah, no, Malik didn't make the list. There's other guys who did not make that list that played for us this year. There are other guys. There were way more players than that just on that list that played for the Raptors this year. We had like over 30 players. So Duke Rocks is here. All right, I want to talk about this because we did have our finish to our fantasy basketball season yesterday. Jason Dukes is saying, definitely going to watch the Heat and the Sixers. Can't believe I'll root for the Sixers because of Lowry. Yeah, that is the one thing about the Sixers that I can stomach is that I love Lowry. In some ways, they've been playing for the Sixers a childhood dream, I'm sure. And in some ways, it is what it is. And he's the only thing I will root for on that team in some ways. I'm with you. All right, now since Jason just chimed in, let's go ahead and check in on what happened with the fantasy basketball with the Yahoo. It is final. The winner of the Yahoo Fantasy Raptor Freak Fantasy League is Peter Saborin. Peter Saborin, congratulations. I have a trophy for you in a ring that I need to get to you for your championship. You can wear that ring around the house or when you see your brother, and just make sure you put it up on your face like this and rub your cheek, Peter. You deserve it. You worked really hard this whole entire season with your fantasy team, and it shows with your record and the final outcome. HC, congratulations on second place. You got the silver, and it's going to be in the history of our league forever. So I'm serious. We can look at the history from last year, the all-time tab on there, and you can see last year Duke won, Jason Duke, and Peter got third place tied with Tom. Well, they switched places. Peter is in first this year, and Jason Dukes is in third place this year. So congratulations to the 3 medalists, Peter Saborin, HC, and Jason Dukes, for a great year and hard work in there. And yeah, David, you're fourth. David, you're fourth. All right, yeah, the case is here, and when I run into the Saborin brothers, Peter, you're getting your reward. All right. Well, I'll have to figure out how I can get that to you. Let's see. Cool Cat's asking, are the exit interviews today? I don't think so. I think that today's kind of like a general meet with people privately. Like maybe they have little exit interviews with the players. But I don't know. Maybe they'll do the press conference tomorrow. I'm not totally sure. Monique might know. But I don't know. Maybe they are today. Maybe they're tomorrow. I'm gonna say they're at least tomorrow if they aren't today. I could see them being tomorrow, though. There may be a day in between for some reason. Who knows? Let's see. Chris is saying, well, Williams is trying. He's just not very good. No slight on him. Yeah, but that's no good. Why are you in the NBA if you're not very good? Where's the logic here? There's a slight on him. Yeah, it is a slight on him. In some ways, listen, I'm not impressed with these guys. Jalen McDaniels, Javon Freeman Liberty, and Malik Williams are 3 of the most unfundamental players on our team right now. They just don't fundamentally do things right. Like Alvin was kind of getting on JFL for blind spots in his passing. He was late to see Grady open, and he got the ball to him too late. You know, Malik does not lift. I don't understand how he can't jump. He has no arc to his shot, and that is fundamentally bad. You see Grady, he pushes it up, and he has a nice high rainbow arc. Malik is shooting for the front of the rim, and he's not going to be a good player ever as long as he has such a bad fundamental shot, trying to push it straight towards the rim. He's more likely to hit the front of the rim, break right back, than sneak over the rim and sneak it in. Some shooters can do that, the really low arc. Like Wara's three-point shot is kind of a low arc for a 3, and he kind of chucks it forward like Ron Harper used to, Ron Harper Jr. And Malik, I don't know, man. He doesn't have it dialed in like Wara, where he makes it just over the rim and just swishes in within like 5 feet of the basket. That's just, where do you start with him, Chris? There's nothing to develop there. There's no talent. There's no talent there. He's just a big body. That's all he is. He has no talent. Let's just put it that way. Fiercely said, I love Kalo, but I can't bring myself to cheer for the Sixers because of Nick. Sorry, no can do. Yeah. Yeah. In some ways that they have success, I'll focus on Lowry. As soon as they fail, I will be all over Nick. That's kind of how I feel. Wayne Strainer said, "Wedgie season." I concur. So you approve of my name for this season, the Wedgie season? Yeah, wedged between Siakam and his era and the new Barnes era starting. Yeah, yeah, the Wedgie season, and that ball that Gary shot into the rim was signifies it. It's like Gary has such a nice shot. It looks so good. And where is it going? It's going pinpoint, laser focus, right in between the rim and the backboard, wedge right in there. Wedgie season. That's right. Wedgie season. Yeah. A super fan, Mo's saying, no, cool cat. Locker clean out today. Interviews tomorrow. All right. Good information, Monique, as usual. Fiercely saying, so Lex's word for our season is wedgie. Yeah, it's a wedgie season. Fiercely being a francophone thinks it's probably funny. Very, very funny. You know, I love sometimes when Fiercely asks me to clarify the meaning of a word. Sometimes it's fun. And sometimes that's really fun. No confusion over the word wedgie, though, right, Fiercey? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Whether it's the wedgie, the ball in between the rim and the back, it really just signifies our season. I just feel like it does, and it happens such often time. Like Alvin and Matt were talking about it. There's so many wedgies this season. What's going on this season with the wedgies? A high occurrence of wedgies this season for sure. Let's see. Chris is saying, I like the season. I got a nice rebuild in. We got a nice rebuild in. I saw an undrafted success in JFL to cheer for. He's got the same numbers as an Alvarado or a Connaughton, a Brune. I like the trades. The team just got hurt. Yeah, that's a little bit of high praise. As far as you say, he has the same numbers as those guys. All right, maybe he does statistically, but you know what? He's not the same kind of player. Honestly, Alvarado is a true point guard. Connaughton is like you're talking about Pat Connaughton. I don't even remember who he's playing for. Is he playing for Milwaukee still? He's like a 6-man white man can't jump guy, right? Because he did that at the slam dunk competition. He did like the whole homage to Woody Harrelson and white man can't jump, right? He's that player, right? I get all these guys mixed up sometimes. And then Christian Brune, well, he was a rookie 2 years ago. The other thing is Christian Brune has way more height than JFL. I mean, if you want to just look at their numbers and you're going to say, oh, they're statistically similar, okay. But these guys are bench guys. And in some ways, you can't make this kind of it's a reach. They're not a similar kind of role player or type of build as players, any of them. They're all very different than each other, all four of them. And I mean, just cross-sectioning stats and saying, well, these are similar stats, that doesn't really mean anything. Some of it has to do with opportunity. Some of it has to do with how much they're getting played. Like I could say Christian Brune probably plays way less than JFL did at the end of the season. And he may have had the same stats with less time because JFL got used a lot in the last 2 months of the season on the Raptors. Neil's here. Good to see Blackhawk. Always good to see my friend Neil. The season is a reset. We can see what 9 players to keep in the rotation, improve upon players 10 through 14, keep Temple as a vet. Okay, so he sees a value in Blackhawk. Blackhawk sees a value in keeping Garrett Temple around next year. I agree with this. I think we do that too. I mean, if he's physically able to still play and he likes being in Toronto, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's make it harder for him to make those decisions to go to law school or go into broadcasting or coaching or do more stuff with the Players Association. Let's say, well, Garrett, we value you as a player. We want you to continue playing for the Raptors. And we're going to offer you a contract, at least a 1 year with a 2-year option, possibly. Would you do that? Oh, hell yeah, I'd do it, Masai. Thank you. I want to keep playing. I really do want to extend my career. That's kind of how it may go down. Now, I don't know if people see value in him in other places and there's a bidding war for him all of a sudden. That's probably not likely. But we'll have to see how things go with Garrett. I fully give 2 thumbs up to continuing with Garrett Temple on our roster as a player in the future. I may have been questioning it last year, like, why the hell are we getting Garrett? This doesn't really make sense. We already have that. We don't really need Garrett. Well, I understand why. In some ways, Thad's the old guard. He's got to go with the other guys. And in some ways, he's way different vet leader on the team than Thaddeus Young. In some ways, he's a little bit more aggressive with being an active leader and talkative on the court and with the team behind the scenes than Thaddeus was. Thaddeus was there, and he was good to kind of like give advice and stuff like that. But I don't know if he was that volunteering or that hands-on or in the middle of it as Garrett was. So in some ways, there's a difference between the old head Thad being your old head vet and Garrett Temple being your old head vet. And that was an upgrade kind of switch from Thad to Garrett by the end of the year. I will say that. Not in a diss to Thad Young, because he's a great old head vet to be around and as a person too. But he's not like Garrett with being in the Players Association and certain characteristics I just described. Angry Mexicans here. Good to see Angry Mexican. I believe this is Hornets Nation coming to see us. Another team that's been eliminated as of yesterday. Raptor Freak, I know it's early, but what do you think is a realistic goal for next season with how many games won? Are you talking about with us? A lot of people have speculated this. If we have a good luck with health next year, that's going to be a huge part of it. I think we'll do well this summer with our moves in our draft. And I feel like we will be, I think that we can be right around where Indiana is. Seriously, the last team in the playoffs just outside the play-in. That's where I'd like to be at least. Of course, I'd like to be higher, but I'd like to be the last playoff team like the Indiana Pacers next season. It could be just as high drama near the end of the season too. That may not be realistic. I don't know. There may be baby steps, and it could be that we're just a play-in team next year. But I want at least that. We have to improve and be at least a play-in team next year, if not a straight playoff team. And I could see that. If we're healthy with the core of guys we have, I could see that, and especially if we make good additions this summer. Good to see Angry Mexican, and hope you're having a good start to your spring so far. Dukes is saying, rooting for Lowry because the Heat fans bitched and complained about his. It would be cool if he beat him. That's another part that I didn't remember. Jason's pointing out. If the Miami Heat are playing the Sixers in the play-in, well, that's a Kyle Lowry versus Miami Heat matchup. That's Jimmy versus Kyle to a degree too. Yeah, that's very interesting. Nick Nurse versus Spoelstra. There's a lot of drama in that one play-in game. In some ways, it doesn't do it justice. It probably does need a series. Miami versus Philadelphia. But it's a play-in game. It's a one and done. Let's see who gets the one and done. Now, if Nick Nurse coaches better than he did last year in the play-in, fuck you, Nick Nurse. Like, if I see you get up off your seat in the third quarter coaching the Sixers in that play-in game, I'll be like, yeah, that motherfucker gave up on us. He gave up on us, especially if your team is winning and you're ahead, just like you were in that situation. You just sat back and watched us lose because you didn't do jack shit to help them in the last part of the Chicago Bulls play-in game last year to Little Child Screams. Yeah, I'm going to be watching you, Nick. No, I'm not. But I will probably be like, well, if they won or they didn't win, well, was Nick actually coaching this time? Because, yeah, you're back in the play-in this year. It's kind of, karmic in a way. Nick, you fucked up our season last year. You probably should have been a top 3 seed in the East this year if things had gone right. Well, you're in the play-in, bitch. That's what you get. That's what you get. You get what you get. That's what Jack Armstrong would say about Philadelphia stuff. That's right. You get what you get. That's right. Let's see. Wayne Strainer saying exit interviews. Only interested in hearing Masai. No Darko, Bobby, or any players. Only Masai. MSJ, if you're cheerful with JFL, I wish you the best in your emotions. I want to hear all of them because in some ways it's a tell, Wayne, how they're looking at their summer and how they're going to go into it. I want to hear Scotty talk about how he looked at this season and talk about a little bit about what he's looking to work on. Because last year, what he said in his exit interview is, I realized this season that I need to have better conditioning to do better things on the defensive end. And well, what did he do? He went and fixed all that this summer. So in some ways, I kind of like to listen to them say with their own words what they're kind of thinking, because then it could kind of help us see what the future is for what they may be trying to accomplish for the summer and coming back. So I like all the interviews. In some ways, we got to suck them up while we can. I'm not going to get to react to post-game interviews or pre-game interviews anymore for a bit. And so I got to get the last ones in. But yeah, Masai's a big enchilada. He's the one that most people really enjoy listening to. And he usually does almost an hour, if not a half hour, talking to the press in these situations. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how much we get. Darko's going to be interesting too. Because honestly, Darko, he said a lot even after the game yesterday. Like I said, he's really interested in how he's going to do things this summer. And he's learned a lot this season. He went through a lot already. Yeah. Duke saying, congrats to Peter, our new fantasy champ. Well deserved. Bravo. Bravo. That's good sportsmanship. Jason, I'm going to give you another dunk for being a good sport and losing. And There you go. You're a Kyle Lowry 7. Does not fit. Nice. That fits real nice right there. Angry Mexican saying with the Sixers going 31-8 with Embiid in the lineup and are now 7-0 since his return from injury, as long as they stay healthy, do you see them making a legitimate run to the finals? Well, that's a big if, as long as they stay healthy. I mean, Joel's coming into the playoffs hurt already. He's half hurt right now. Obviously, the way he got hurt the other day and he left the court, that looked really bad. And this is what I'm going to say. They're only as good as him being around. You can't rely on him to put wear and tear of the playoffs 4 rounds all the way through and get to the finals and win a championship. This is why I was saying, everybody, that Philadelphia with Joel Embiid will never, ever win a championship, because he's absolutely essential for them to get all the way there. And he just doesn't realistically have a chance to be healthy enough to get all the way there. So, no, Angry Mexican, I'm going to say this right now. He's absolutely essential for them to be successful. And he's already beat up right now, and they haven't even started. They're fucked. They're absolutely fucked. They seriously are. Yeah. Angry Mexican saying, if you had to give the MVP and the Defensive Player Awards out today, who are you picking? Well, my MVP is SGA. That's no doubt. I'm firmly in the group that says SGA is the most valuable player this year. Jokic could win it again, but in some ways he doesn't need to win it again. I say give it to the young Canadian guy, Gilgeous-Alexander, and get him MVP this year. I'm all about making another Canadian MVP, just like Steve Nash. And this time is going to be the OKC point guard with the #1 record in the West, the #1 seed, the captain of Team Canada. And that, yeah, SGA by far, easily my MVP this year. And second, you're asking about Defensive Player of the Year. Well, I'm going to keep it in-house. I think that the effect that this man had when he went to New York is very evident, and it's time. Go ahead and give him that award, NBA. Because in some ways, if you give him the Defensive Player of the Year, OG Anunoby, that means he got half the year on the Raptors. And in some ways, he would be Defensive Player of the Year half on our team from this year. I know he's a Knick now, but the body of work, some of it was with us. I don't think he will get it, though, for some reason. But there is a lot of esteem for OG and his effect for the Knicks right now, on a spotlight on it. He has the best chance to get Defensive Player of the Year this year of any year ever. So those are my picks. I'm going to stick with my guys that have G in their initials, SGA and OG. Those are my 2 picks right there. Yeah. Dick saying grown men will, no, Duke saying, I say Dick saying, Duke saying grown men will be crying if the Leafs win the cup. I can get behind the Knicks and OKC. Yeah. I mean, grown people going to cry if any team wins and they're that passionate about it. I mean, I cried when the Raptors won. I did. I'm not gonna lie. I did. You can see it. It's on the show. You'll see the day after we won the championship. That episode is crazy. The emotions I have. And where I am, I had not slept that night, the night before, and I'm in a wild place of just celebrating and being happy and so happy. So yeah, you will get to see my actual reactions if you follow the community tab through the whole playoffs. Right after the Kawhi shot, the Milwaukee series, the Orlando series is going on right now on that. And yeah, all the way to Golden State. I go to game 1. You see me at the game in the episode, at the game going against the Warriors. So there's a lot of fun stuff in there, and it really will bring you back. And if you're familiar with this channel and you like watching me on here, you'll like seeing me at that point, because you'll get to see me talking about what's happening during the playoff run in the way I do it on this channel. It's not exactly the same format, obviously, because it's not a live stream, but there's a lot of basketball talk on that show during the playoffs for sure. So check it out. I am crying on that show. David saying anyone but Embiid, and no chance they get to the finals. Playoffs are coming. Joel loses 50% of his edge in the postseason. I can't disagree with this in some ways, although he did play us really well in that one first round a couple years ago. Nice match this week, Duke Rocks. Congrats. There you go. David being very gracious also and good sportsmanship. We're going to give David a dunk. He's at 85. 1985. I think that's the year Back to the Future came out. That's right. Let's see. Jason saying, thanks, David. Hung in there. Was a bit worried. Regardless, this was a fun season. Well, Jason, you've got 2 trophies, just like David's brother. You guys are collecting. You guys both have a gold and a bronze. Jason Duke's getting a Vince Carter signed UNC Tar Heels jersey last year for winning our fantasy league. This year, it's a little mini Larry O'Brien and championship ring going to Peter. It's going to be cool. Seymour saying, wow, McDaniels was a total disappointment on that list. Yes. You can see how many games he played, and he did not show up on the star list very much. He played 49 games for us. He only had 5 stars all season long. And he's at the very bottom. He has the worst star average of everybody. As far as getting opportunities to play, do well, and make the star list, well, he played 49 games, and he made the star list like barely at all. Barely at all. Yeah. Seymour saying, which players are walking the plank? Good riddance. Jeez. All right, Captain Bly. You mateys, I'll keel haul you. It's not even talk like a pirate day, and I'm talking like a pirate. I don't know. Malik Williams, can we go first with him? I'll get the cut list and I'll be like, yeah, you're going this way, Malik. Come on now. JFL, I want him gone too, but I know he's probably going to be invited back for next. He's going to be at Summer League. I know that. Dark already said that. And then he'll probably be around the training camp. We'll have to see how it goes. I'm very much expressed my opinion on that, on him. Mohamedou is a project. I could see him sticking around, being at Summer League, and us investing more time kind of looking at him. And I think that's actually worthwhile. Bruce Brown, he could probably walk the plank. Yeah, he's too casual about being a Raptor. In some ways, I saw him embrace Thomas Bryant at the end of the game yesterday. And Thomas Bryant was laughing with him and kind of saying, well, now you're done with this. I can only imagine what he said to Bruce Brown, his teammate from last year on the Nuggets that won a championship together. Yeah, I have no idea what he said, what kind of joke he made about his year or whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, Bruce Brown, I think is for sure probably out of here. And if we sign him, I mean, we don't sign him, we take his team option and turn him around and trade him, or we just don't take his team option, whatever we do, I'm cool with it. In some ways, I don't really want Bruce Brown back next year. Yeah, so that's kind of my list right there. Walking the plank, Seymour? Walking the plank. Angry Mexican saying, normally I'd say yeah, David, but with the way the duo of Embiid and Maxey are playing with Oubre, Harris, Melton, Lowry, Batum, they have a great team. Maxey's playing out of his mind. Yeah, Maxey's awesome. Maxey's awesome. And they do have a pretty solid team with length. Batum and Oubre, they have like very good defensive chops. No, there's a lot of good things about this team. But once again, the center is the centerpiece. And they are only as good as him being around and him healthy. And the last half of the season without Joel Embiid showed exactly what I'm talking about. They lost more than they won, and they fell like crazy in the Eastern standings. And Nick did everything he could with just Maxey and those guys to try and win, and he couldn't very much consistently. So, yeah, they can be all great and everything, and you can say this and think this, but no, they're screwed without Embiid. They're just not going to be good enough. They just won't. Fiercey's got a whole bunch of emoticons on display. Grady, Jakob, Scotty, RJ, Kelly, Emmanuel, Gary, Masai, Darko, myself, and Mo. Me, Mo, myself, and Masai. It's just Mo, myself, and Masai. All right, Kenne's here. Original Raptor Freak. Kenne from the start. Kenne is one of my first people. We are not our record. Yes. Testify. I am listening to you. I watched all the games. Thanks for what you do, Lex. Appreciate you, Kenne. And yeah, I agree with you. We are not our record. Casuals will look at it and they will just judge us and say, you guys are suck. You are horrible. I hate you. You are a OG Anunoby 3 now, Kenne, with your dunks. I agree. We are not our record and do not identify us by our record. We are self-identifying as a young barbecue team that's on the rise. And that barbecue skillet is cooking up nice for next season. We are barbecue. That's right. Let's see. Chris is saying at Wayne, be careful. Take Oshai. Fans love him, but his numbers are 6 and 1 and 3 shooting, 41% and a 4.6 pi, and GFL is 7-2-3 shooting 4. Okay, you know what? Listen, I will say this: those stats, I don't give a shit about any of them. In some ways, GFL can get stats, but stats are different. This is not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at eye test. I'm looking at skills. I'm looking at how they can help. I'm looking at whether, once again, like I've said, Wayne knows what I'm saying because he likes this. I'm looking at whether they're championship pieces. In some ways, we don't necessarily have to get championship pieces now. In some ways, we got to add whatever and fine tune it and get better. But in some ways, it'd be nice to accumulate more championship pieces. And if they are championship pieces and they get ensconced, it's better. That's the part of the problem with having Malachi around. He's not a championship piece, and he dragged us down. And I will say this once again, I'm very, very much vetting people for whether they help add in the net or not. and Malachi didn't help in the net. And I really do feel like JFL in some ways is a similar player. Oshai is an extremely gifted athlete that can jump very high. He's also extremely strong. In some ways, giving me offensive split stats for those guys and comparing them is just not fair. And in some ways, they're different roles and they're different jobs that they do. And there's things that Oshai does out there that have nothing to do with the box score that every team should value. So you can't do this comparison and kind of try and say, oh, the Oshai's this and JFL's this. So why don't you like JFL? Because look at the stats. No, we can't do that. Look at what they do on the court and look at how they contribute to whether we win or not. Like I've said, JFL can have all the stats in the world. They're crazy good on 905, but they lost way more than they should have this year. And he was the most high volume player on that level. And a lot of that shit is just empty, hollow, crazy ass stats in games where they weren't close. And he's just stacking stats. So I'm sorry. Some of it is quality of stats in the situations. And in some ways, I don't trust JFL stats for being quality. Let's just put it that way. All right. Mexican saying, I shouldn't call him that. Angry Mexican. And this is his name. I'm not trying to be racial or anything. If Nurse won a ring with the Sixers, giving them their first ring since 1983, plus giving Raptors theirs first ever, in my opinion, he's the first ballot Hall of Famer and top 10 coach ever. Yeah, that's a lot of ifs, first of all. Yeah, I never, ever want him to win with another team ever again. I really, really don't. I don't see this happening. And if it does, I will be mad. I don't want this to happen because in some ways it's special that he won a championship with us. And if he goes and wins another one with another team, it'll fucking water down that shit. So fuck him. He should have won his second championship with the Raptors while he was still here. But no, he had to sabotage this shit. I'm not a Nick Nurse fan. He can fuck off. Seriously, Mexican. So I'm like, listen, if he fucking fails for the rest of his career, I will be very happy. Let's just put it that way. Now, if he moved on from the Sixers because the shit didn't go right and he went to a team that I kind of like, I might start liking him again. But it's really hard for me to forgive him for doing the Vince Carter to us on the down low as a coach. Now, we've had Vince Carter not try as a player in his last year to try and leave. Well, we've had a coach do that in our history now. And his name is Nick Nurse. So fuck him is what I'm saying. Now, I think that he could be a Hall of Fame coach at some point. He could actually maybe one already without getting anything else, honestly. But who knows? We'll have to see. It's very, very, very cool that he won in his first year ever as a head coach. And that, in some ways, is enough to be in the Hall of Fame, I think, in some ways. I don't know. If he got in the Hall of Fame, I wouldn't be upset about that, but that's way down the road. And hopefully he's been totally unsuccessful ever since. So Seymour's like barfing at what you just said. Yeah, Mr. Turncoat Nurse. That's right. That's right. Okay, and Kenyon's telling me pressers are ongoing, by the way. They're on right now? Are you saying they're on right now, Kenyon? Kenyon just jumping in here to say they're ongoing right now. Seymour, I'm going to give you a dunk for the one finger salutes about the Nick Nurse comment. I'm with you on that. Let's see. Who is that? Who said that? Oh, that's Seymour. Seymour said that. Seymour, I'm going to give you a dunk for the right attitude. 55, DeLon Wright. There you go. You got a 55 DeLon Wright. Wayne's saying stats are misleading. This is exactly what I just said. And he wrote this before I said it. Stats are misleading. JFL's game has a limited expansive potential. Boom, goes the dynamite. I agree with that. If he improves his shooting, whether it's mid-range or threes, yes, he will help himself. Otherwise, going to the basket, he's too weak. We saw that again yesterday. He makes a strong move to the basket, and it's not even a big that blocks him. It's Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin blocked his ass. I'm telling you, the athletes are too good for JFL's weak-ass shit that he puts up to lay up. And more often than not, he's been getting blocked recently by all different positions. It doesn't even have to be the center. He's getting blocked by Caleb Martin. So, yeah, Wayne's exactly right. There's a limited expansive potential for him. In some ways, he's not a very smart player. He's not learning correctly. As I've said, he's not fundamentally good. He's just not fundamentally good. He's a hooper. He's a scorer. He's just like any jabroni down the street that I could go down the street to the park, and there's this one guy who can just fill it up, and he's quick, and he's really good on the court. But in some ways, he just doesn't have NBA know-how or skills, and that's the problem. That's the problem right there. Fiercely saying, Gary doing Gary things. It's so annoying because when he hits, he's amazing, but then he goes back to cold. Absolute streak shooter. And we saw him flame up very quickly all of a sudden in the third, but it wasn't to be. I was saying in the chat, I was like, man, if he could just continue this for the rest of the game, we have a shot to win. But no, it wasn't to be. Wasn't to be. Fiercey saying, hit the like button, fam. Thank you, Fiercey. That's very nice. G saying, good morning. As someone whom is very competitive, I wanted to thank everyone for making this season still fun. May this offseason be full of abundance for our team. Bravo, G. Another original Raptor Freak, our original Raptor Freak trivia champion, the first year champion. It'll be David, was second year, and we're going to have a third year champion coming up soon. So I appreciate you, G, very, very much. As one of my favorite longtime people that come on this channel. And yeah, it's been a tough year, but you've got a Charles Oakley 34, my guy, for keeping the spirits high and doing it right. I like it. All right, let's see who's next. We got Angry again. I know you guys don't like Nick, but he has a great chance to be the fourth coach ever to win a championship on two different teams. Will you cheer for Nick Nurse and Lowry if they're in the finals? No. I will root for the Western team, no matter what. I am not rooting for them from the start. In fact, I'd like to see them get bounced in the play-in. Are you not a Charlotte fan? Are you a Sixers fan? Is that what I've been fooled? Because I thought you were a Charlotte fan from before. Weren't you like a Hornets fan before? Are you like your second team is Sixers, and since the Hornets are out, you're going to go with the Sixers? Is this what's going on? Because that's what it feels like right now. Randolph's here. Good to see Randolph. Lex and our beloved Raptor Freaks. Blessings. It's been a great regular season ride, and with all you amazing people, our team has gone through needed. Hang on, it jumped ahead right in the middle of me reading it. Why does it do that? It's like I'm reading. I didn't even click it or anything. It's just like, all right, I'm going to push it forward. I'm going to push it forward. All right, where's Randolph? Randolph is the comment I'm on. Okay, yeah, Lex and our beloved Raptor Freaks, blessings. It's been a great regular season ride with all you amazing people. Our team has gone through needed changes, and we are Raptors for life. Respect. And it may be the most truthful thing I've heard today, what Randolph just said. Blessings to you also in the Phillips family and everybody, Raptor Freak families everywhere. 18 dunks for Randolph for 2024 so far. I appreciate you. Seymour saying, salute Randolph Phillips. That's right. I love it. Chris is saying, yes, it's confused me that people here haven't seen the good overall play of JFL. Again, his player impact advanced stat at 8 is the same as Alvarado type. That's the caliber JLF is. OG's Pi is 8, by the way. In some ways, like I said, this stat is misleading. Alvarado has a very specific skill set that he brings to the Pelicans that is not evident with JFL. In some ways, JFL just has scoring stuff. He doesn't really have a bag otherwise. In some ways, he's doing little rebounding things here and there, but otherwise, it's really just he just scores. Alvarado's actually a point guard. He assists people. He looks out for people. Plus, he's a very quick ball of the court guy. He's a very good stealer. You've seen Grand Theft Alvarado on the inbound steals are just insane. This is not a calling card that JFL has. He does not have that. He can do it at times. He'll get one every once in a while, but Jose's doing it every single fucking game. And then the other thing about Jose is that he's getting assists more than he's shooting himself. He's not a very good shooter himself. So in some ways, it's like, I will say this, JFL is a better shooter than Jose Alvarado, but Jose Alvarado, shorter than him, is a better NBA player because he looks for his teammates and he gets them involved and he has a lot of worth. There's a reason why Jose Alvarado is a full-fledged NBA player and JFL is a G leaguer who just got called up. I mean, seriously, if you can't understand that we're not just looking at stats, we're looking at roles and potentials and what their bag is as far as what they do to offer to a team. And in some ways, the attractiveness of the package that JFL is to offer us is not attractive to me. Let's just say the skill set is not something we need from him. We could get the skill set that he offers us from Grady. We could get the skill set that he offers us from Gary. There's nothing unique or special that JFL brings to the table that we cannot get from other people anywhere else, is what I'm saying. And in some ways, he's a defensive liability. And in some ways, he can't score near the basket like we just talked about. Yeah, in some ways, that we can keep bringing him up. I will continue to constructively criticize him. Seriously. Trevor J saying WNBA draft tonight. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you. I'm a peep at it. Peep at it. Angry Mexican saying, is Caitlin Clark going to WNBA draft? I heard Ice Cube offered her $5 million to play in his 3-on-3 league. Well, I don't know what she decided. Maybe she can do both. I don't know. Maybe she can't because of contracts. There's no official word. Well, I'm sure she's going to get drafted tonight, and then she'll decide after that. And probably the Indiana Fever will say, yeah, you can't go mess around with bop gun with old Ice Cube and have a good day with him. I'm sorry, you just can't. It's just you're a fever player, and you have to be in Indiana and not playing 3-on-3 versus men. I don't know. It's we'll have to see how that shakes out. Seymour saying, I no longer watch ESPN, Sportsnet, or TSN News. I'm a Raptor freak. Boom goes that dynamite. Yeah, I mean, some of that is worthwhile. I find this go to their websites. If you don't have to listen to the jabronis say it, sometimes you can read it yourself and you can be like, yeah, this is bullshit. You can get all the information that they say on TV and read it in your own voice. And sometimes it's more informative, and you kind of get it yourself. Because sometimes these people, the way they do news, regular news or sports news, is trying to influence you in certain ways. There's very subtle things about how you read copy and media that can shape things. And I know because I have the training at Florida State as a communication minor in writing and communication that people will form their scripts and things to form perceptions and opinions. And the Raptors people like Danielle Michaud realize this, and they've done a way better job this year. The PR from the Sportsnet and TSN crews was way better this year. They were way more negging the team in years past. And considering the difficult season we had this year, they did not kick them while they were down, and they did not overly just like gloat and be snarky about them. Josh Lewenberg, a bit. Yeah, you fucking were snarky about it a little bit, Josh Lew. I know you were. But Danielle Michaud was not. And in some ways, I like the sensitivity to fans like us that actually really love the team a lot and don't want to have even feeling worse. They're losing is enough to have our broadcast also kicking them while they're down. So, and in some ways, that's important. Seymour, I salute you for turning it off. I've turned off ESPN a long time ago, and I only watch TSN and Sportsnet when I need to. Chris is saying at Wayne, I think you sort of have to go off the stats at the end of the season. No, you don't. Otherwise, it's all opinion. Yours, mine, and the next guy. Stats tell the overall story. No coincidence. All the pie leaders are the NBA MVPs. Okay. I mean, I don't even know exactly which stats we're looking at. I will tell you this. I spent all year watching this guy on both levels. I saw JFL play a lot of games on the 905 and a lot of games on the Raptors. Let me see. I can tell you exactly how many. It's on this list. Javon played 21 games for the Raptors, and for the other team, he played 26 games. So I saw Javon Freeman Liberty play 47 games this year. And I'm going to tell you right now that, yeah, I'm pretty familiar with him at this point. In some ways, you could put his stats in front of me, but I can tell you exactly who he is because I've seen how he plays. I've seen him in different kinds of games. I've seen him in NBA games. I've seen him in G League games. I've seen him in blowouts both ways, whether our team's blowing him out, not very often, or the other team's blowing us out more often. And yeah, a lot of the shit he does is empty in time periods where shit just doesn't matter. Whether it's in the NBA stuff, a lot of it's garbage time bullshit. And then down there, he's like the overly used high volume guy who's not efficient. And I just don't want that. If the metrics show he's getting all these minutes and all these shots and his stats are just not efficient, why the fuck do we want to invest more time in him? You're asking me to get another Malachi, is what you're saying to me. And that's what I hear. Yeah. Seymour saying, I hope SGA gets MVP. Me too. Me too. Most saying, I love the post-game conversations, interviews, and Raptors Tonight conversations too. Thank you, Randy and the crew. Yeah, they did have a Raptors Tonight after the game by Skype. Yeah, it's been a good year for those guys. And Mo, I'm glad you got to go down there and be around their broadcast this season. And yeah, we went down there too a bit this year too. We were around them a bit. Yeah. Chris is saying, I would love SGA as the MVP, but Jokic's numbers are once again overwhelming. Missed a triple-dub average by 1 rebound. I think he shot 60% from the field. And Lex, we had to do the trades midseason. Yeah. I mean, I know we had to do them then, but some people are trying to say that we should have done them way earlier and not let it go so long. But Masai wanted to say, I wanted to give these guys, out of respect, a real chance. And maybe we shouldn't have done that. Maybe him being so nice to them and trying to give them a chance for half this season and not doing the moves last summer. I don't know. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. It just is what it is. And we go forward with what has happened the way it is. We can all like say, I would do this. I would do this. Revisionist history doesn't help anyone. It's just that things happen and we are where we are in this path. So I agree with you to an extent, Chris, that we had to do them when we had to do them because that's when Masai decided he had to do them. And that's it right there. I mean, it may be true that Jokic is actually more the MVP with the stat numbers, but the NBA does not want to do this. In some ways, it's really like he's already in a special company with how many MVPs he's already got. Do you want to put him even more in that stratification? Because you have to compare him to not just the contemporaries. You got to compare him to Kobe. You got to compare him to Tim Duncan. You got to compare him to Bill Russell. You got to compare him to all the greats from before him. And I know Jokic is really, really good, but where does he stand in the overall hierarchy of the history of the NBA with people like Kobe Bryant and how many they won MVPs? How many Shaq won MVPs? You got to gauge it with everybody because how does he look on the overall chart of collected MVPs? Is he in the right place? If he's elevated too much, some would say that Steve Nash having 2 MVPs is one too many for him, and that he's a little bit too elevated for what he should have done. I don't know. I can see the argument for why Jokic should be the MVP again this year, but that's boring. It's the same thing we've seen. It's a rerun. Let's give it to somebody new. And Joel does not qualify. He was a joke to be one anyway. Him being it last year, he didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve it last year at all. Let's see. Smooth saying Klingum is terrible. Grange is joking, right? Honestly, if this were a normal draft, he'd be a second rounder. No, I think Grange is weird. Like, I don't get this. Now, I'm going to say something a little controversial. And if the TV people are listening to me, well, maybe I'm calling you out a little bit, Roger Sportsnet. At the end of the season, they did their goodbyes to the crew and their thank yous to the people in the back that do the things that help the team out. And with the broadcast, with Matt and Jack, Matt and Alvin. Well, they did the TSN one on Friday night for the last TSN broadcast. And they show all the people from the back that help out with the show. And I saw a much more diverse group with the Bell group as far as women being involved and also people of color. When they showed the crew yesterday at Roger Sportsnet, not as diverse, a lot of white guys. Let's just put it that way. Well, is there some underlying racism in the Rogers corporate structure? Probably. Yeah, probably. Ed Rogers is a Trumper. He's a racist. And why wouldn't he have his mouthpiece, little piece of shit, Michael Grange, promote 2 white players as the people that we should draft, Reed Shepard and Donovan Klingum? Yeah. In some ways, all you need to know is look at who was working for Sportsnet all season and how much they are white middle-aged men. That's all I got to say. You can look at the pictures of them showing them on the broadcast yesterday. I thought that was very stark contrast, seeing how diverse TSN's crew is compared to Roger Sportsnet. So, that was just a little side notice thing. Another thing I noticed was that Matt Devlin thanking the Sportsnet crew yesterday named specific people, and there was one person he did not name specifically, and that was Michael Grange. He said, and to Danielle, Sherm, and Brad, and everybody else in the studio, thank you. He did not bring up Grange's name. So I'm wondering about that too. Maybe I'm reading into things too much, but I like to think that Matt Devlin's a real one like us, and he hates Grange just as much as we do. All right, let's keep going. G saying, I don't understand the Klingum hype either. If Zach apparently is not an NBA player but dropped 37 on him, what are other bigs going to do to him? Maybe I'm missing something and not being fair. It's the UConn thing, man. Well, I have speculated he's from Bristol, Connecticut, and that is the home of ESPN. And in some ways, maybe there's a little bit of like helping him out for that reason. The one thing they're saying is the biggest difference between Zach and Donovan is that Zach is not able to switch quick on his feet, laterally, side to side, as Donovan is. They're trying to say that part of the reason why Donovan's more valued in this draft is that his lateral quickness and his foot movement to cover with switches is way better than Zach's. I don't totally see this. When I watched the eye test, I was like, Donovan looks really lumbering and slow. And in some ways, his power game is not going to score in the NBA. This is what I will say. It may be true what they're saying about switchability and foot speed with Donovan Klingum versus Zach Edey. But I'm going to say this right now. Klingum ain't going to be able to score in the NBA. The way he plays is very physical. And in some ways, that's going to be negated by the bigger, stronger players in the NBA. Now, Zach, he's a bigger boy. And the way he was physical to Klingum in the national championship game and getting his points, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So it may be that Klingum's good defensively to switch, like they're saying, but I don't think his offensive game is going to translate very well at all into the NBA. And in some ways, Zach's, it will, because he's got extra inches and he's also got a very polished, like dominant near the basket game. So it's crazy. I don't understand it either, guys. It's a Yukon thing. Yeah, it's a Yukon thing. That's right. Wayne saying, I agree with taking notes and viewing stats, especially if you don't watch the games. When you actually watch games, most times a player's work rate cannot be quantified. You're right. Just opinions. Well, like I said, the stats on this paper, you don't know if they're quality stats or not. Did they happen in garbage time? Did they happen when the game was already decided and all of a sudden JFL got 10 points in garbage time in the fourth quarter? That's what I'm saying. In some ways, you can look at stats and you can read them in certain ways. Yeah. But the eye test and actually watching games is really important to combine with that for sure. For sure. Chris is saying, I don't know. I don't know. Is Klingon terrible? And he's a monster in terms of size. If the Raps get him, so be it. Sort of a Walker Kessler. And stat of the year for me, Chet played all 82 games. Laugh out loud. Did he? Did he make all 82 games? That's amazing. That's actually a really big accomplishment. I am shocked. I'm totally shocked by that. But I don't remember him getting hurt. So that's probably true. I don't know. I'm not going to promote Klingon. And in some ways, it's like I'm suspicious of Grange pushing him. That's the whole point of what we're talking about right now. In some ways, I've seen him be picked in mock drafts for us too at the sixth pick. Either way, I'm not a big fan of him. Once again, I don't care what anybody thinks. Me, Grange, Yahoo, ESPN, Bleacher Report. I don't give a shit about what any of these people think. The only person I care about what thinks is Masai because he's a master scout. He lives on the moon. And him and Bobby, who what they think is what matters because they are the ones who find people like Pascal Siakam. And that's going to be the thing right there. In some ways, if this draft is full of busts just waiting to happen, then I know that Masai and Bobby will avoid the pitfalls and the minefields of a bust. They're going to get a sure thing, and they're going to get somebody that works. You know, Koloko was a sure thing. It's just that the clots got in the way. That kid was going to be a good NBA player. He may still be, but, I don't want to see him in other teams. Monique saying 3 stars of the game for her, Jordan, Grady, and Oshai, I guess. You said Nwara, Dick, and Abaji. Yeah, I had different ones. I had Wara, Olenek, and Freeman Liberty. I actually gave Freeman Liberty the last star of the year. Trevor J saying SGA has a case over Jokic for MVP. I think so. I think that SGA is the best guard in the league right now. And in some ways, they keep giving MVPs to centers. They need to balance this. There's not just one position in this league. You can give MVP to center the last 3 years. What do you fuck? You can give it to Jokic again? No, give it to a guard. Give it the best guard in the league, and that's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. That's what I'm saying right there. G saying SGA brought his very young team to the number 1 seed. Does Joker have a better cast around him? Tough call, but my bias would love SGA to get MVP. And this isn't just us, guys. We have a bias because of Canada, obviously. But I am hearing a lot of the U.S. media on TNT and ESPN echoing what we're saying. I think Shaq has come out and said publicly he thinks SGA is the MVP. I've heard a lot of big name personalities down there. So the noise is this is not unjustified noise. When I say SGA is the MVP, there's a huge movement that believes this also. So I think he has a very good chance to win it. I think he really does. I think that the writers and the people that are going to vote will think about this very carefully. And they will think about some of the things I said, where Jokic deserved to be a 3-time MVP. That's a lot. Seriously, that is a lot. You got to look at the list of how many MVPs some of the greats have back in the past. And when you put Jokic up higher on that list, it's like, this doesn't totally make sense in some ways, even though he is who he is. Just trust me on this. Let's see. G saying, yeah, I already read that one. Blackhawk saying, I'm for SGA. However, having a rookie center does not bode well for playoff success. Yeah, I don't even know if you can call him the center, though. They're playing Chet at like small forward almost. It's weird. It's very, very weird. I think they'll be okay. I think their inexperience will fuck them up, and they won't get all the way. Yeah, I think their inexperience will fuck them up at some point. If you ask me if the Thunder played the Nuggets in a playoff series, who would win? I think the Nuggets might still win. But they're not as good as they were last year. I will say that. The Nuggets are not as good as they were last year. So maybe they don't win it all again. I don't know. The West may be where the champion's coming from, though. It'll be interesting. Let's see. Fiercely saying, I want a Nuggets versus Lakers repeat so that I can cheer Michael Malone being the daddy. Fiercely, I'll give you a dunk for that. I'm with you on this. In some ways, as much as I would like to see the Lakers completely fail and lose in the play-in, the prospect of a first-round exit to the Nuggets in the first round is also very, very attractive. So in some ways, I can get behind that. 92 for Fiercey on the dunk list. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like this idea, Fiercey. In some ways, it's like, okay, they might help him anyway. It's like the NBA will write the script for LeBron to get out of the play-in. They don't want him to fail. It's like the time's ticking. They got to milk him for every buck they can get from him appearing in NBA games. So him going out in the play-in, that's not good money. So I'm sure they'll get the right ref crews and they'll guideline these guys through the play-in somehow, some way. Watch. They'll probably do that. And then they'll get their ass beat in the first round by the Nuggets. Chris is saying, I really want SGA as MVP. It could happen as the NBA does want Jokic ranking an MVP after MVP. Cross your fingers. Yeah. Yeah. I think that I hate to say this. In some ways, I don't think it's really racial. But in some ways, it's better for the league to kind of switch around who's the MVP. He could win this for the rest of his career, really, if you go by his stats. If he plays that kind of level at a high level for like the next 5 years, you could make a case that Jokic should be the MVP every year. It doesn't mean he should be. It doesn't mean he should be. In some ways, you should just take him for granted that this is what his bottom line and his baseline is for what he does. And well, is he going to get much better than this? Then maybe you say, okay, we'll give him another MVP. It's almost like maybe you say, all right, this was your MVP season. Now you came back and you got even better the second season. All right, here's your second MVP season. Now, but you have to go even higher and better than that second MVP season to get that third MVP season. So if he's just doing the baseline, what he did for those other MVP seasons, I don't think he should get another one. He has to go up even higher and get even better. And I don't know if he can. I think he's actually already playing exactly where he is. So it's a weird thing. And I think you're right. They don't want to get him to go up too high on the MVP list. Stardeem's here. Respect to Gary Trent for his contributions this year. But I'd RJ as a star before him. You'd have RJ as a star before him. Respect, Stardeem. Good to see you. Yeah, I agree with this. RJ's a way more sure player. He's more consistent. He's more money with making sure the ball goes through the hoop. And I really do value RJ a lot. In fact, he is the kind of passionate Mamba mentality kind of player that we needed on our team. Gary's great shooter. If we can get him for under 20 million, I say bring him back. Jordan Bolton on Twitter yesterday saying, hey, Raptors Twitter, if this is the last game, I'm with you guys after this game today. It's been a blast, and I appreciate all y'all. And I messaged Jordan after that, and I said, blessings to you, man, respect. But I hope that this is not the last game where you are involved in Raptors Twitter. I really do want Gary to stick around. I love the legacy player that he is, but I do not want to overpay for him. And in some ways, if we can get him for under 20 million, I'm A-okay with that. I'll go a little bit even over 20 million a year. But for the most part, I don't want some crazy shit to happen where there's a bid war with the Lakers or some other team that wants him. And yeah, if it's getting like that, just go ahead and go. This is what I will say in that situation. Just go ahead and go then. Blackhawk saying, Jokic for a 3-time MVP or SGA for a first-time MVP. I know that's not a tough decision in my mind. That really isn't. That really isn't. You said Castle for our 6th pick? Maybe not. I want wingspan and size. I think that is really maybe the number one priority this summer is to make up some of the defensiveness we lost in the trades this year. We need height, size, wingspan, and we need more rebounding and more defensive kind of oriented players. A guard like Castle is not the value at that position in the draft. There's a lot of good big men in this draft, it seems like. So if we do keep our pick and we're like 6th or 4th, somebody like Buzelis or Risecker or whatever, a Sar, you get one of those players because we got up in the draft lottery. That's a good pick right there. Wingspan. That's the wing I want to look at. It's not even totally a center. We want somebody with a really good wingspan because we lost a lot of good wingspans. Is kind of what I'm looking at. Chris is saying, as a crazy NBA junkie, the playoffs are like when the high grade stuff gets past customs. Jalisco Select. The basketball hits the next level. Can't wait. Man, you made me think of that show Locked Up Abroad. Did you guys ever watch Locked Up Abroad? That is a fantastic series if you ever watched it. It's about people trying to smuggle drugs in different countries and get caught. That is such a good show. If you can find it anywhere on streaming services, go through that, binge it, because that show is so informative and crazy. You will learn where you ain't trying to do no drug smuggling. No, 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 no. You ain't gonna do it nowhere in certain places because they will tell you the cautionary tales on Locked Up Abroad. That's an amazing series. I highly recommend it. Chris, I'm gonna give you a dunk for your silliness about drugs and the good shit. I mean, he's kind of right. I mean, in some ways, this is when the NBA junkies are really getting their fix. Chris, you got a 63, my guy. You're at 63 at this point. Blackhawks saying when a center is drafted, it could typically take 3 to 4 years to get a return. Wemby is the exception. Well, in some ways, you could say Wemby is on that, and there's a whole other level to him that will be unlocked in like 3 or 4 years from now. I'm shocked at how bad the Spurs were this year. Honestly, the fact that their record was so bad this year, I could not have predicted that. I thought that Wemby would be an instant hit and they would be winning right away, but they were not. And in a lot of ways, it's the cast around him. The rest of the team sucks. So they really do need to start building around him with better quality. And yeah, overall, that team was too young and not good enough around him. But it is an interesting thing is to think about Wemby on that kind of center project schedule and the things that where he could be in like a couple of years from now. It's very scary, very, very scary. And this league may be his league by then. It may be his league by then. The MVP may be him by then, is what we're saying. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Zach's going to be a project no matter what if he's drafted. And that's why if we're going to draft him, it may have to be the first pick in the second round, the Detroit pick. It's going to be fun. The 2 nights of the draft this year, the first ever 2 nights of the draft. In some ways, if you want to be really funny, I mean, you should watch the first night. You could watch just the second night and act like we got the first pick in the draft. Because we're going to step up there. Detroit lost to the Spurs yesterday, so they avoided a tie with the Wizards. And we straight up own the first pick in the second round for sure at this point because of where Detroit ended in the absolute last team in the league. So on the first night of the second night, on the first pick is us. We're going to go right up to the start and get our pick right away. And on the second night, we only have to watch that part, and then we can stop watching the rest of the night. But that's going to be cool. The 2 nights of the draft and the Raptors picking the first pick on the second night. That'll be interesting to see how that goes. In some ways, it's kind of interesting that the Masai and Bobby will have a whole night to consider things from the end of the first round to the first pick in the second round. That's actually a really good advantage. I'm not going to lie. That's kind of like being the first pick at the beginning. I was like, all right, they pick all the first round, the first 30 guys. And then on the second night, Bobby and Masai have all night to kind of think about, well, all right, who are we going to get the first name called on the second night? It's a very interesting development because normally they go right from the first round into the second round. So in some ways, we're going to get an advantage of being the first team ever to pick on the first pick on the second night of the draft. So that's going to be kind of cool in some ways. Let's see. Fiercely saying congratulations to Peter Saborin. Bravo. Bravo, Peter. Peter, bravo. Good show, my man. Good show, old chap. Good job. Good job. Yes. Yes. Smooth saying, Nick Nurse is my enemy, man. Yeah, me too. Like, seriously, what did he say when he left our team? He said he finally wrote his letter to us like 2 months later. He didn't want to do it, but he did finally. And he said, to the Raptors fans, you guys are fascinating. That is a backhanded compliment. I'm going to tell you that right now. That's not a compliment. That you can read into that all kinds of different ways. He said, to the fans of the Raptors, y'all are a fascinating bunch, is basically what he said to us. We were fascinating. Yeah, he may be talking about me. He's like, oh, Raptors freak. He's always calling me on the phone on his show for faking. And then he's like calling me a butthole face now. Yeah, y'all are fascinating. Yeah, that's not really a compliment, Nick. And I can read that all kinds of different ways. Most of the time, people say, oh, the fans have been so great this year. You guys are awesome. No, Nick, when he left our team, he said the Raptors fans are fascinating people. Well, what does that mean? Seriously. Chris is saying, I take the approach that if a player makes it onto an NBA court, it's a great success for the player. So good for Williams. But that doesn't mean he should stay. He's hit his peak in NBA star. I agree with this. It's kind of cute. We'll do the Instagram stories real quick, and this will be in there. Oh, wait, I didn't even set them up. I will set them up right now and get the Instagram stories going. It's real easy. It's just I got to get to the ones I want to tell you about, not the other stuff that I follow. Hang on, where are they? Because there is something I want to talk about that happened with Jordan yesterday. All right, well, I don't care about Coloco. Yeah, there's a picture of Williams' jersey on Jordan Wara's Instagram stories, and it says Williams 35, and he's got it written on there. He signed it and gave it to him. So they did a jersey swap, Jordan and Malik, yesterday. even though they're teammates, to signify their Louisville days because they played together in college and they're close friends. And what basically it says Louis 21 to the league, and that's the year they played for Louisville. And it says Malik wrote on the jersey, says, "Proud of you, bro. Keep going." Malik Williams, number 35. Now, this is a crazy thing. And Jordan says on the caption, "Long way from the Ville, brother," to Malik Williams. Yeah, if this is the taste he got, at least he got to have it with his teammate from college. And well, I agree with you, Chris. In some ways, it's like, well, you made it. This is what you get. In some ways, that may be all you get. Ron Harper Jr. may never make it back to the NBA. And his NBA taste was with the Raptors, the fleeting bit it was. That's what we have to understand. For all the players that make the league and stay in it, those are the minority. There's so many players that just get little tastes of it. They reach out and maybe get a chance, and that's it. And then that's that. And then that's it. There's no more. And that's just that. That's what Darko's saying. Don't take anything for granted. We're watching, and if you don't do things right, you're not going to get very far in this league, is what he's trying to say. So yeah, it's nice to see the two Louisville Cardinals together on the court yesterday, smiling at the camera and doing the jersey swap. Malik Williams and Jordan Wara on the Instagram stories. Yeah, let me see what else we got. Is there anything else that I want to talk about? Not really. Precious is really hyped about being in the playoffs. Apparently, Precious was really big in the overtime against the Bulls yesterday to help the Knicks make sure they won and get to the second seed. That he had some very big defensive stuff, and that he help them win the game. Precious Achua in the second, and then he's in the back after the bopping his head with Sunday Fun Day, listening to some music in the Knicks jersey in their locker room. In some ways, that hurts me. I'm sad because I like Precious on the Raptors in a Raptor jersey, but he's in the blue and orange now, and he is a second seed Eastern Conference team. And yeah, you go on then, Precious, and do what you got to do. If you have to face Embiid, shut him down and dunk it on his head. That's what I would say to you. Manuel quickly has a picture of him with Tyler Hero visiting after the game with Tyler's daughter. Very cute. The Kentucky Wildcats are still very close, obviously. And yeah, that's what Emmanuel did. He didn't play in the game, but he did go say hi to Tyler afterwards. Slim Duck's walking into the game, and he's got some music playing. He's got the Dennis Rodman NWO Rodzilla shirt on. I love it, Slim Duck. That is cool stuff. Let me see. Is there anything else? Gary Trent Sr. taking a picture from behind the Raptors bench of the Raptors in the bench. And it looks like Jama's looking at him like, hey, is Gary filming us? Maybe he shouldn't be filming us right now. We're right in the huddle, and he might be catching what Darko's saying to the players. But that's Gary Trent Sr., former Raptor. He can do that. Yeah, he can do that. There's a Sportsnet crew I was just talking about. Matt Devlin putting them on blast on his Instagram there. Yeah, there's the Instagram check real quick. Yeah, Louisville Cardinals. And they enjoyed playing together. And that's what it is. At least they got to do it together. Smooth saying, taking the Sixers job as an FU to the front office. No class. Fuck him. Straight goods, man. Fuck him. Yeah, I've tried to explain this to hockey people that just can't understand this. It's like if the really good Leafs coach was on your team and he's doing really good and you thought he was going to be the future coach for your team for a long time, and he somehow sabotaged your team, and then he went and joined a division rival that you absolutely hate. I don't know who that is with the Leafs right now. Maybe it's Montreal still or something. Maybe it's Boston. I don't know. Is it Detroit? There's some team that the Leafs nation hates, I'm sure. I don't pay attention to them, so I don't know. It'd be basically equivalent of that. Like if they're really prized, great coach, all of a sudden went and started coaching your most hated rivalry in the league. I know this happens in sports all the time. It's just it hasn't happened to us like this ever in the history of the Raptors, having a snake-ass quitting coach, and now we have to face him. And he did beat us every time we played him this year. I want to get to the point where we beat his ass again because I want to. I want to beat him, and I'm with Smooth. Fuck him. I'm with it. Yeah, he could have had the Suns job if he wanted it. He could have coached Kevin Durant. He could be the coach of the Bucks right now. He could be the coach of the Bucks. I would have said that's even better than that because that's not in our division. In some ways, I don't hate the Bucks as much as I hate the Sixers. In some ways, it's like, what the fuck, Nick? It's shots fired, and it's a very directed thing. In some ways, it's all the plan was. There was no other choice. That's the charade of him going to interview for Phoenix and Milwaukee last summer was stupid because it was all preordained before he even lost the job with the Raptors that he would be the next coach of the Sixers because that's Daryl Morey finagling and tampering things to get to that point. So it's like, okay, go act like you're going to go interview for the Suns job, Nick. It's bullshit. You and Daryl had this planned all along. Seriously. Seriously. Blackhawks saying William getting a 10-day is a double blessing for him. He got to play on an NBA team and he can get honest feedback on what he needs to fix. Yeah, there's a lot of feedback I have for him. It's kind of interesting too that the second 10-day, because he got technically 2 10 days, was signed on Saturday. So he's still on another 10-day for another 8 days, even though the season's over. So yeah, Malik is still technically on the 10-day with us for another 8 days. It doesn't matter. He probably gets paid the same. So he got paid 2 10 days. And the second one, he only really was around for 2 days. Very interesting. Let's see. Kareem saying, I don't want to start any drama, but we know front office has Scotty penned in as the franchise player. But I do think RJ thinks otherwise, being from Saga playing for T Dot, and I'm sure he wants that title. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. And Kareem, I'll say the reason why is, well, look at his time in New York. You know, RJ was very fine with being in the shadow of people like Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. In some ways, RJ is most comfortable as like the second or third option. Some would even say the fourth option. In the time watching Team Canada last summer, we could speculate Jamal Murray being added to that team, and it would help a little bit with the pressure on RJ as the second banana behind SGA. Because there were times where it didn't exactly look right, and it seemed like with Team Canada at FIBA World Cup last year, that we would be more stronger with a secondary scorer in between SGA and RJ. I don't think this is an issue at all. In fact, because he's from Saga, this actually helps the situation with Scotty being the top dog. In some ways, I worry about Scotty feeling threatened by him. But if there's a really good communication between the two of them, RJ can tell him, it's like, look, I understand, bro, you're the number 4 pick. You are the guy that the Raptors have deemed the franchise guy. I love this team, and I want you to be on this team because you're awesome, and I want to play with you for a long time. And there's no issue with stepping on toes in this kind of way with what you're worried about. I think the delineation of the hierarchy is very clear. The Scotty is the franchise player, and I don't think RJ has this aspiration that you're worried about. I think that he was already like this in New York with Julius, and this isn't a big deal. In fact, it may be better with Scotty because he's a little bit older than Scotty. He can be a little bit of a vet influence to him, whereas Julius, he couldn't do that with him, and Julius was just Julius. So does that make any sense what I'm saying, Kareem? I think he's going to be fine. He could even be the third option after IQ, or even a new player that we get this summer that we do not know right now. He could even be knocked down to the fourth option and just being steady. In some ways, that's a good thing for us. You think about this. The wear and tear of the way RJ plays, we don't want to make him high usage for what he does. In some ways, he does something very valuable and great. But if we are totally relying on RJ to carry us with his physical style of offense, the wear and tear could be a problem. So in some ways, relegating him to a third or fourth option down the road with the emergence more of Emmanuel and Scotty being the number 1 is a smart thing for all kinds of reasons. And I think he would understand this all himself. And he has no ego in this as much as you think. In some ways, he just wants to win. And if his role changes in different ways, how much or big, he will do it whatever because he's a team player. And I think that's what it is. Seymour saying, whoever said they are only here for the chat dunks, Isaac, man, you are funny. Yeah, he is funny. Man, he is funny. He's a soft-spoken guy, but man, he has some zingers. Zingers. Yeah, Kareem 100%. Kareem. All right. Kareem saying, I honestly can't stand McDaniels. His body language is fucking draining. He runs up and down the court like someone shot his dog. The weird thing about his body is it's so long and he's so quick that he has so much potential I can see right in front of him, but he can't see it himself. I don't understand his footwork. I don't understand how he gets so tied up and so loopy. Like, why do you not understand space on a basketball court and how to fill it with your own signature body type and how you would move with your footsteps and your length and your pace? In some ways, you have all these advantages that you are just not utilizing because you don't understand yourself. And it's weird, Jalen McDaniels. I think after a year watching you, that what I just said is the prognosis, is that you have a very extremely talented, athletic, amazing NBA body, but you have no idea how to wield it or utilize it. It's evident by some of the crazy ass weird shit that you do in the lane trying to come at it and attack it. You're just like, it's like you're just off. It's like, man, if you just jump a little more, maybe you get up over them and you wouldn't have to step so much. Instead, it's like you take one long stride and then there's a half step or something. Get your fucking footwork down this summer. And you know what? Practice how you are going to finish, because often I see you going towards a basket and you have no realistic idea about how you're going to put that ball in the hoop. It's like you're making it up in the split second on the way there. No, you should know exactly how you're going to attack that rim and put the ball through it. Because half the shit you're doing is like not even thought out, or it's like you don't even know what you're fucking doing out there. How have you been in the league this long and you do not understand how to take the ball to the hoop and score? It's ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous to me. And I am with you on McDaniels. I can't stand him either, but he's under contract, so I have to stand for him, at least until we waive him or something else changes. Yeah, Seymour's laughing. Man runs like he's on the back end of the Terry Fox run. You talking about Jalen? Kareem saying any Eastern Conference team that passes up on Zakeel will have lots of regrets, and any team in the Eastern Conference who drafts Edie will be laughing. Edie in the East will create problems. Well, I'd love for us to do that. And if Masai believes what you're doing, saying, then I'm all for it. Let's do it. And Seymour said, I don't want UConn big man. Nope. Don't even come in here. Do not enter. I'm with you on that. Kareem saying, laugh out loud as Seymour. McDaniels runs like his parents forced him to go play in the park with people he doesn't like. I don't even understand that totally. That sounds like kind of shady and weird. Like, who are these people? And like, why does he not like them? And I think it's funny that his parents made him do that. Kareem, you're getting your dunk for the day. 120, my guy. You're at 120 dunks already this year. You only had a 103 last year. So it's like 4 months into the new year, and you are already surpassed how many you got all last year. Trevor saying, Stephen A. Smith said there is no debate over who shall be MVP. Nobody else but SGA. Case over. Yeah, he's another one I forgot that is standing for SGA for MVP. I'm telling you, the momentum is there. The difference and variety of MVPs will get him it, and he will win it. I'm going to tell you that right now. He's going to win it. He's got the best case other than Jokic, and in some ways, we want variety. Seymour saying Kareem is the official dunk champ. Oh, yeah. I mean, seriously, in some ways, he really is like our Michael Jordan of dunks. He really, really is. I wouldn't say Vince Carter because he's a loyal guy. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he is definitely he is the greatest Raptor Freak dunker of all time. So he's like Vince is the greatest dunker of all time in the NBA. Well, Kareem's the greatest dunker in our league here for this. That's for sure. Yeah. Let's see if he's getting another one here. Y'all know when Debo stole that dude's chain and Friday and he runs to his car? That is McDaniels running up and down the court. Yeah, see what I'm telling you. See, he says something. It's like, OG, he doesn't shoot to miss. Kareem's not like dunking to miss either. All right, 120. You made a Friday reference with Tiny Lister. Okay, I love that. Let's see. Seymour is dead. You guys are laughing. Yeah, it's funny. Kareem saying, does Delano get an invite this summer? I think he will do well against a lot of European guards and creates a huge advantage. I think he will get an invite to the training camp to try out, but it doesn't mean he'll make it. I think that because he is in the under levels of Team Canada, he has a foot in the door. And if he didn't have participation on that level, I'd say no, he probably won't be anywhere near that. But because he did do the under tournament in the Americas a couple summers ago, he has a foot in there to be possibly considered. Now, the thing we need to start talking about with Team Canada is things are ramping up. The Charlotte Hornets have named their finalists for their head coach. The Nets have named their finalists for their new head coach too. They're not going to keep Kevin Ollie, the interim coach. They are going to hire someone new. And they recently announced the top 3 finalists for the Nets job are Coach Budenholzer, which is very interesting in all kinds of different ways. If Coach Bud is the new coach of the Nets next year, that's going to be a very, very interesting situation. In some ways, I'm like, well, if you're just going to fire Doc after the playoffs, why don't you just rehire Coach Bud after that? Milwaukee, you idiots. In some ways, that'd be weird if Budenholzer goes to the Nets and gets them out of the mud. He's absolutely a success there, just like he was in Atlanta and Milwaukee already. The other 2 top candidates are Kevin Young, assistant coach of the Phoenix Suns, and Jordi Fernandez. Now, Jordi is a finalist in both of those jobs. And part of the problem with this is he may have a new head coaching job in the NBA that's going to be distracting from him with his Team Canada responsibilities. If we learn anything from Coach Rajakovic being the new head coach this year, is it's a lot of work to establish a new coaching staff and culture. And if Jordy is going to be trying to do that with the Hornets or the Nets this summer while he's trying to do Paris and Team Canada stuff, that's going to be a mess. In some ways, I don't like this at all. If Jordy could wait one summer, maybe both those jobs are shitty. And he's like, I don't want these fucking jobs. Although he is a finalist and he's interviewed, that does show that he wants them. So, this is a bad situation for Team Canada. In some ways, I hate this because I think that our coach may be a little distracted this summer, partly because he's going to be a brand new head coach in the NBA. And I don't like this at all. He's on the short list for both jobs. He's a top 3 finalist for both the Charlotte and the Brooklyn job right now. And I don't like that. Yeah. Wayne saying any talk of Raptors placement next year this time is a waste of time. Such speculation can be conducted in October. Angry, whoever, your questions are geared for ESPN at all. Lots of blowhards there. There you go, Wayne. I like your feistiness. And I agree. It's a little bit too early. We got a lot of things to see how the front office deals with this offseason before we even really realistically talk about this too much. What number is that? That's a 28. You're 29 now. There you go. 29 dunks for Wayne. Let's see. Kareem's saying we did good with our dick this season. All right, now, come on. Now we got to focus on where our balls drop for the draft. Sorry, I'm corny. That is too corny. In fact, you know what? For low-hanging fruit, literally, I'm going to deduct a dunk from Kareem. That's right, because he went low. He went real low with that one. So I'm sorry, Kareem. In some ways, we do have standards, and you made a dick and balls joke with Grady. And in some ways, that's just too easy. Come on. You said that. Yeah. What did you say? You said we did good with our dick this season. Phrasing. Hello. And now you got to wait for your balls to drop. What are you doing? What are you doing with your life? You are corny. That's right. Cool Cat saying, I just checked Sportsnet is hosting live exit interviews. Okay. So they are on right now. I'll watch them later and we'll react to them tomorrow. I've got to write some trivia today too. Oh my gosh. I got a lot to do today. I'll write the trivia for you guys for tomorrow next. Let's see. Where am I? I got to get through these comments. Definitely give me a Cool Cat. Get me a cutoff. Sorry, Cool Cat. Okay. Carlos saying it's only the players today. Masai and Darko are sometime this week. Okay. Thanks for that, Carlo. Breaking news. So the players are doing theirs today, and then they'll do the coach and GM tomorrow. Cool Cat saying, I just checked. TSN website's hosting the live exit interviews as well. Yeah, they'll be up. So I'll review them afterwards. Seymour said, I didn't check, but First 48 might be hosting interviews too. We got killed this season. Can't wait for next season improvements. Okay. Pape, laugh my ass. You're laughing at Seymour. That's Mike. Mike's here. Salute the logical Raptors fanatic. Project Truth always, my guy. Mo's saying, Cool Cat, locker clean out. Believe me, probably. Yeah, they got to clean their lockers out. And these guys don't want to hang out for tomorrow to do them. They'll clean their locker out and they'll do the interview today. And then they'll go wherever they need to go next. Mike's saying this year was bad, but the Pistons are the second worst team in history this year. Imagine rebuilding for 5 years and you're still nowhere. Yeah, that's pretty bad. What a tough first year for Monty. At least he's getting paid a lot. A lot. Monique saying W-Stream Legs, keep at it always. Good times approaching. Go Raptors for the regardless of the situation. We're for life. Raptor Free Crew strong. Always supporting you. We got you too, Mo. That's right. Stargate saying, I'm siding with Lex on JFL. I really don't understand this Malachi-esque obsession with him by some fans. Very, very casual perception. He's a great comparison for Malachi. He really, really is. And down the road, you want him to have a rotation spot. He's going to come in. He's going to miss a couple threes, maybe turn the ball over, and we'll be like, why are we wasting our time with him? In some ways, this was Malachi for the last 3 years is what I'm saying. David's saying, kid's not bad at basketball. Who are you talking about? Malachi? Stargate saying Bobby and Masai are building the team correctly and efficiently. We are not the Pistons or the Hornets. I will give a dunk for that sentiment by Stargate. Definitely give a dunk for that. Where is he at? He's at 28 dunks for Stargate. Let's see. Mike is bumping what you just said. Chris is saying, I get people don't like JFL much. I think people are mixed on it. Like, I don't mind the guy as a person. It's just I don't want him on our team because I don't see the point in going forward with him. He's just a depth guard. Did okay as a starter, but not much like Flynn as a player. Was just fun to cheer on an undrafted player. Nothing wrong with that. Go JFL. Listen, man, you do what you want to do. It's a free country. And if you want to be a JFL fan, you go right ahead. I'm just trying to espouse my opinions because in some ways, I want to try and make this team closer to a championship as quickly as possible. David's saying true. So if they want to give JFL a shot, why are we so convinced that the kid is a hopeless waste of time? Don't get the logic. That's all. David's because I know player types. And I just know that there's no fruit to bear in the long run. There's no development curve where he jumps up. He's at his ceiling right now. He's as good as he's going to get. He's not going to get any better, David. So you ask yourself, do you think that this guy is somebody you want to have investment in time and spend on the court? I don't think you do, because he's not going to get any more leaps than this. He's hitting his ceiling right now. I'm telling you, some people will say, no, Lex, he can get even better. I don't see it. His height's not going to grow any higher. And in some ways, the fundamentals that are lacking at this point for him, this far in his career, well, if he hadn't learned them by now, he ain't ever going to learn them, is what I'm saying. So Masai saying, trust in Masai. That's right. Unless they sign JFL. No, if they do that, I will spin it for why. I will. I am that much of a company man with Masai. He can do no wrong in my head. And if he does wrong, I will spin it in a way that'll make him look good either way. So, yeah, if he decides he wants to say, I want JFL, well, I'll back him up, because that's what I do. I'm doing that for him with Jalen McDaniels right now. Yeah. Kind of signs like it. Yeah. No, I would trust in Masai if they sign JFL. I will be critical and I'll be picking it apart and saying, well, I wonder if he's going to do this, and I'll watch him. But if I'm wrong about him because Masai saw something and I should trust in him, well, I'll come back around that way too. Let's see. Smooth saying Klingum is Rafael Arujo. Could be. Stargate saying Castle will be the steal of this draft. Okay, that's an interesting. I'll remember that you said that. Carlos saying I can count on so much times this year where we made that extra pass, the only get blocked by on the inside. We need size real bad. That's part of the problem. The decision making of JFL is very opposite of IQ. IQ did such a good job of balancing his own scoring with assisting the other guys and getting them involved. Well, JFL doesn't do this. There's been times in recent games where he's tried to force a layup with a big on him when there's a guy next to him he could just dump it off to, like Kelly, and they would put the ball in easily. In some ways, his judgment about when he should pass and when he should shoot is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And the fact that he could not connect with Grady on certain plays yesterday was symptomatic of it also. There's no reason why he is not read the floor like a point guard and understand if Grady is open in the corner, you need to get the ball to him. And he failed to do that. That's why he's not a point guard. He doesn't have the vision of a point guard, and the assists show it, is what I'm saying. So, I mean, what's the point of investing in a guy who's a point guard sized body who doesn't play point guard? There's not good logic in that. So in some ways, that's part of why it's a non-starter also, is what I would say. Let's see. Seymour saying, imagine finishing first in the West and still not winning Rookie of the Year. I vote for Chet, and I know Wembanyama will win it, but it is what it is. Salute OKC. Well, there was some talk on having co-rookies of the year, but I don't think that's going to happen at this point. I think that it is Victor's for sure and straight up. And I agree with that. Honestly, he's a phenom. In some ways, the success of OKC, you can't totally just point at Chet for that. There's a lot in the nucleus of that team that is contributing to that. Chet is a great rookie. And in many, many years, he would be the easy Rookie of the Year. But he just happened to wait a year after he should have been the Rookie of the Year last year because he got hurt. And now he's going up against Wembanyama, and he's not better than Wembanyama. So the Rookie of the Year is Victor. And, well, that's just how it goes. He could have been the Rookie of the Year last year, maybe, if he had been healthy. He could be the Rookie of the Year next year. But because Victor is this year, he won't get it. He won't get it. Yeah, it'd be a real oversight. It would be like in 10 years from now, if somebody said, well, why did Chet Holmgren win Rookie of the Year over Victor? This doesn't make any fucking sense. They don't want that to happen. So they're going to make sure he wins it because it won't look right if he doesn't. In some ways, that's part of the reason why Scotty won it, is because it won't look right in 10 years if Scotty Barnes wasn't the Rookie of the Year, the year he came out. So Dap to David. Stargate saying, my favorite rookie this year was not Chet or Wemby. It was Brandon Miller. This kid's going to be a star. You know what? My favorite rookie was Grady Dick. And I'm not even being a homer. In some ways, the story of what happened with Grady this year is so awesome and so amazing. Like Garrett said, he had the most growth in a rookie year that he's ever seen with a rookie. To see where he was at the beginning of the year and to where he is at this point now is amazing, honestly, what Grady did. But yeah, Brandon Miller's fantastic this year. There's other guys like Lively, Jaquez, of course, that have been standouts as rookies this year, for sure. Jordan saying, when I was in high school, watching Locked Up Abroad and Border Security helped choose my college program, Border Service Office. So you watched this, Jordan, and you went into this profession partly because of that show. That show is amazing, honestly. It's so good, and it's so high drama, and it's just that kind of gritty reality TV that if you watch it, you kind of feel gross, but you're also like, wow, I'm glad I watched that. And I will never, ever go to this country and ever try something like that dumbass did. Some of the stories were crazy about how they got in trouble. Like there was one guy who went to on a vacation with his girlfriend, and she was a drug smuggler, and he didn't even know it. And she used him as a mule behind his back, and he got arrested for it. And she got free. She was totally using him, and he had no idea. He was a patsy, and he had to actually go to jail. And it was the story of how he got out of that. It's insane. If anything, it can be informative for people like Jordan to be like, "Hey, I'm kind of interested in this job profession. I'm gonna go into it." Well, also, it can be informative to you to know the laws and rights and legal systems around the world if you get in a bad situation. So, if you have not watched the show like Jordan did, and it had an impact on him, obviously, you should do that just for fun. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I haven't watched it in years. It's a very old show, but man, it's so good. They don't even just do drug smuggling. There's a locked up abroad that was kind of like was like a prison riot, which was crazy, and they took hostages in it. And then there's another episode where somebody's in South America in the jungle, and gorillas take them hostage in the jungle, and they like take them, gorillas with guns, not gorillas the animal, and they take them into like a cage in the woods, and they're locked up not by officials but by like a junta, guerrilla warriors that are in the hills of like Colombia. It's crazy. It's a crazy ass show. And they have the real people from the experiences, and they're talking about, yeah, that's when I thought I was going to die. They say shit like that. It's so crazy. So crazy. David saying, agreed, Stargate. Miller was MJ's 1W in the draft. Brandon Miller's a great player. I'm really impressed with him. In some ways, he had a really weird controversy around him because of the murder that happened last year around Alabama. But you know what? This seems like a good kid. He came around with his image in my eyes as far as like he's a good young player. And he's definitely got a spirit of compete in him. He definitely does. It's going to be interesting to see how it gets better over the years. Let's see. Mike saying gold smuggling is a big business too. I watched that Locked Up show. Okay. Have they made any more new episodes and I just don't know about it? I might have to go and recheck this show because they made them a long time ago and I thought it ended. But if there's any kind of spinoffs or new series, I'd like to know because I will watch them. There was a period of time in the in the early 2010s where I binge watched all those Discovery ID shows like the Neighbor Next Door or Women That Kill. Those shows were crazy, crazy shows, really dark, grim shit, but also extremely interesting in some weird ways. Also, yeah, those shows I'm talking about. Yeah, there's even like Deadliest Animals. There's all kinds of crazy ass shit. Yeah. Yeah, Trevor's saying, Lex, that the best show ever, Locked Up Abroad. Yeah, Trevor knows about it. Trevor knows about it. He needs to know because he's a high-profiling, jet-flying, Space Mountain kind of guy getting on yachts and stuff. And if Trevor's going to go international travel, he needs to know. Not that he's doing anything illicit, but it's good to know about these places. That's right. Stargate saying, remember the 2021 draft? Everyone prematurely penciled in Jalen Suggs as the Raptors pick. It's going to be the same this year. They're not drafting by need. They're drafting by best player on the board. That's why I say I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care what Grange says. I don't care what Stephen A. Smith says. I don't care about any of those ESPN, any of the writers from Sporting News, any of the writers, any of the Raptors Republic people. I don't give a shit about anyone y'all say because y'all were wrong with that Jalen Suggs shit. And I ain't going to get caught up in no noise and hype. I'm going to let Masai and Bobby do their job, and I'll be pleasantly surprised. Now, during the draft, I will have a best five to pick at this draft pick, and this draft pick. When we get closer to it and it's more evident exactly where we're going to be at, I will do a best five picks for each of the draft picks that looks like we're going to draft this year, like I did last year. And we'll see if it jives with one of those. Last year, I did not have Grady as one of my top five picks. They went outside of it, and they were right, and I was wrong. So we'll have to see how it goes. Mike saying, Masai definitely looks at multiple aspects when drafting, and I think good championship forwards are way harder to find than smaller elite talent players. I think this is true. I think this is very true. In fact, that was part of the secret of success of building value on our team through Anunoby and guys like him, is that these guys are hard to find. And Masai was kind of collecting very high value ones for a while there with Vision 6-9. Well, in some ways, we need to get back to our Vision 6-9 kind of drafting again because the Vision 6-9 stocks are gone. They've gone off into the new places. So we need to get the new ones. The new ones come up next. Fiercely saying if that fascinating comment was meant as a diss, not cool. The problem is it is hard to read between the lines nowadays with social media. Yeah, it's a diss. It's a backhanded compliment. My dad always talks about these. It's like they can be like something where somebody says something to you, smiling to your face, but it's really an insult when you think about it later. It's usually a very well crafted thing that's like saying, "Oh, that was nice of them to say." I'm like, wait, what did they say? It's kind of like that. He could have used all kinds of different descriptors for the Canadian fans up here, but he called us fascinating. And that leaves like either positive or negative connotations. Let's just put it that way. I don't think that's exactly a positive one. No, fascinating, that doesn't have connotations of like positive, does it? No, no. He could have said the supportive fans. He could have said the loving fans. He could have said the fans that were there for us, even though I fucking checked out and was a shithead behind the scenes on the down low. He could have said all kinds of things, but he didn't. That's what he said. Fascinating. Fiercely saying, apologies for my previous comment, fam. I got carried away. What do you mean? Your previous comment was fine. I don't see anything wrong with what you've done today. Stargate saying, thank God Bobby, Masai, and Darko are basketball masterminds. There is no way JFL's on this team come October. So you folks get over this thirst for him. Well, we'll see. If he plays really well, if he shows some development, he's going to get a chance at Summer League. That may be where it ends. And maybe that we don't value him after that. And he goes back into the G League pool and he's on whatever team he wants to. Maybe he goes back to Windy City because that's where he's from, with Chicago and DePaul. And so we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it all works out. There's a lot of steps and there's different places where he might get his exit. He could get his exit in Vegas after the Summer League. It could be that he gets one of the cuts in training camp in the fall also. Now, let's see. David's saying, you're the one who keeps bringing him up. Not me. The person who brings up JFL over and over again is Chris. MSJ continues to throw him in my face and say this and this, and I don't mind. In some ways, I got to talk about him. He's one of the stars of the game, and he did play yesterday. Wayne saying, I cheer for the Knicks because Precious and OG are there. Their ass will get beat when they meet Pascal and the Pacers. Precious living the dream, freaks. He's home, just like RJ. Wish Precious the best. Yeah, in some ways it hurts, but I am happy for him. I really am. David's saying, honestly, I just hope JFL makes the team next year so I can chirp you every day. In some ways, I feel like that's what Chris wants too. We'll see. However it goes, it goes. I can't control the situation. I just react and talk about it in the morning every day. Stargate saying, just to stick it to silver in the league, I hope it's Indiana and OKC in the finals. I have my ass. Oh, I love this kind of stuff too. In some ways, people don't like this, but honestly, this is really good for basketball. The heartland of America, getting back to basketball roots. OKC and Indiana. Oh, it'd be so good for Indiana franchise for sure. But man, what will it do to the Thunder franchise? Yeah, I'd be awesome. That'd be a great finals, but I know Adam Silver's not interested in that one, probably. No. Winston, I didn't want to, but you guys forced me to comment on that waste of a Raptors uniform. He's just lazy with no muscle tone, negative aggression, and no mission on the court. Sorry, front office fail, Lex. Well, I won't say for sure until down the road. When he wants to own up to it, like Malachi, I'm sure Masai will. But yeah, I'm going to give him one more year of a chance. And this summer is when he puts the work in. Hopefully some of the things that you just said will be looking a little bit better by the time the next season comes around. We'll have to see. Jalen McDaniels has a lot of work this summer if he really does want to be a serious NBA player. But there's no sign that he knows what to do to become this serious NBA player. So it may be you're exactly right that this was not the best free agent signing. It hasn't been so far, but it is still salvageable. Davidson, I mean, they didn't really have to sacrifice anything to give him a try, right? Not that hard of a fail, as useless as that jersey may be. Well, number 2 didn't play a whole lot. He could have stepped in and had really crazy good stuff happen. Think about when people got hurt. He could have, honestly, if he was playing a better level and a better player, he could have stepped in and carried us to a degree, but he can't even do that. He had a lot of opportunities this year to step up and be a better NBA player. And we can't use the excuse that Jalen McDaniels did not have opportunities. He had them. He's just not a guy who's going to rise the occasion, apparently, is what it seems like. Let's see. Stargate saying, yep, Milwaukee should just suck it up, admit they made a mistake, and rehire Coach Bud is their best option, despite how weird it seems. I know. It's absolutely their best option, especially if Doc loses in the first round and everybody's like, we hate Doc. And they're doing the exact same thing to Doc that they did to Bud last year. And then the fans are like, well, if the Nets are trying to hire our coach, they can't let them get them now. It's like, well, we fired him. And why would he want to come back here? I think we pissed him off. and something like that. I don't know. I mean, they fired him when his brother died. It was really not classy. The Milwaukee front office is really bad, is what I'm learning from this year. Is that this front office is nothing like ours. They're very shitty, and the way they fired Bud and the way they handled things with Lillard and the way that their team has been this year and the firing of Griffin, yeah, they're a dumpster fire. Their front office is horrible. The Milwaukee front office is a bad front office. I can tell at this point. Very, very bad. Chris is saying they did sign JFL. Anyway, who cares? We need size. Unless we get side, we suck. Truth is, this team had a terrible season record-wise, one of the worst ever. And LeBron said, Chet unlocked OKC. I cheer on JFL as an undrafted player, not the savior of the team. I don't know. Why not? I find Toronto fans to be positive, passive-aggressive. Other cities I have lived in cheer on the team's runt. I do. I'm cheering on Marquise. That's as runny as you can get. Yeah, that's the epitome of what a run is in the litter. The smallest guy, the guy who has the hardest chance. That's the underdog. That's the guy who has promise. That's the guy we should be cheering in that position that you just described. Is Marquise Noel. That is the dude. That is the dude. And that's the underdog. That's the guy. That's the feel-good story that everybody wants to see and hear. If it's a choice this year coming up, if it was Doughton versus Flynn last training camp, and it's Noel versus Freeman Liberty, well, I'll tell you where I am. You already know. You already know. Give that young little guy the chance, because honestly, he has more promise in him with the way he passes, the vision he has. Oh my gosh, that's a real point guard, and that's useful. That is useful. What Marquise does is useful, is what I'm saying. Mike is saying Darko's midseason plan for Grady was a great move and definitely bought him some respect with Masai and the players. He's what was he said he was. Darko did his job this year, in my opinion. I agree with you. I agree with you, Mike. I think that Darko held it together, and we did it. We did good considering everything. JP's here. Good to see Country Kong. Lex, we can't compare JFL to Malachi. Why? Why? If the results of what they do in their stat line, if they're similar in those kind of ways, even though he's a combo guard, I doubt he'll ever score 50 in the NBA. I agree with your take on passing Grady the ball when he's open. Anyone who doesn't got to go. Okay, so it's not that he's saying that he's standing up for JFL. He's actually standing up for Malachi in this. And he's saying that it's a diss to compare JFL to Malachi because Malachi is way better than JFL. I won't disagree with this. You're exactly right. I mean, Malachi was in the NBA, but he had a lot of opportunities he didn't take. And well, JFL, in some ways, he may not get as many opportunities as Malachi. And that's part of it. Yeah, I don't think JFL will ever get 50 in an NBA game. I think you're right on that. Yeah. Chris is saying, let's go, Jay, the runt FL. Catch my breath. Yeah, I still say that's Noel, guy. He's 5'7". Come on. Trevor saying another show to watch is lumber smuggling. Oh, there's a joke in there somewhere. Trevor, I'm going to give you a 3-pointer, even if you didn't mean it. There's some sort of Grady joke in there. But yeah, lumber smuggling. All right, 31 for you. You got the Sean Marion. All right, there's a show called Lumber Smuggling. All right, I'm going to check that out. Let's see. Mike's saying he's what? He says he is. My bad. All right, he was who he thought he was. Let's see. All right, it jumped. Carlos saying, yeah, the Dick transformation was amazing to see, and it happened mid-season. That's for sure. Blackhawk saying we're at Vision 6.5 right now. Yes, unfortunately, Kenyon came in here and said that a couple of months ago, and he came in and told us the media day is going on right now. Chris is saying, have a good day, everyone. Yeah, I want to finish up. I want to get out of here. I am closer to 1. This may be the last Lexathon of the summer until next season, guys, just so you know. Although we'll have big stuff to talk about at some point. And, of course, if I do watch along, so those are going to be like 2 or 3 hours. Chris is saying, haha, okay, Noel the run. Yes, you make the point. Yeah, that's what I would say. Blackhawk saying Jalen McDaniels needs a better offseason team. He should have started the season with more weight and strength. He should have developed more because he didn't show a go-to move at all. That's what I'm wondering. Like, how do you get to this point just coasting on your talent that you have no go-to move? Like, he doesn't have one. That's the craziest thing. Like, when he gets an opportunity, it's wide open. He should score. He doesn't know what to do. It's mystifying. I don't get it. He's too long. He doesn't fit into it. Like, why don't you take a step back further and put more effort into it? Then you'll make it work. Trevor's saying also show to watch smuggling trees out of the forest to create lumber. No, I know what it was. I just thought it was funny, the title. And, you know, there's a lot of phrasing issues since we got our rookie this year. A lot of phrasing issues. Yeah, I'm fiercely saying W stream. Lexathons are the best. Stargate saying I have more confidence in McDaniels to make the necessary adjustments to his game in the offseason than I do JFL developing into anything other than what he is now. No, I will agree with that also. That there is more promise in JFL. Jalen having something come up this year where it's worthwhile for him and he plays better next year. It doesn't even have to be that much. Like if he could just get a go-to move, like we just said, and maybe he gets really good with one skill. Like Chris Boucher became a good NBA role player that will stay in this league because of his rebounding. Jalen, if you just dedicate yourself to one thing that you can do really, really well, that's what people say. You'll stay in this league. You'll have value in that. And you don't even have that at this point. You can't score, and you don't have any discernible, overwhelmingly positive skills that NBA teams want. You need to watch out. Like Darko said, nothing's guaranteed, and you better fucking figure out your game this summer. Because, yeah, you're in trouble. All right, y'all. Oh, no more comments. Fiercely saying, if he could get his layups, that would help. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He has no go-to move to the point where he can't even finish at the rim. That's messed up. You should have some sort of signature dunk or something, or some sort of flip that you do. Even Kelly has his ugly little flip at the basket. He doesn't have any of that. He has no moves, just like they just said. No moves whatsoever. All right, let's finish up. The Raptors finished their season yesterday. They lost to the Heat 118 to 103. I'm really happy because they only lost by 15, and that's a way better margin than on Friday night with less two players, IQ and RJ not there. They shot 53%. We shot 42. What do you say? We did make the same amount of threes by the end of it. That's amazing. I don't believe that. They only made 9? That's crazy. The free throws were pretty similar. They had a +5 on rebounds. 23 assists for the Raptors with 19 turnovers. That's not the assisted turnover rate that Darko likes. He'd be very pissed about that. And they beat us in the points in the paint. It is what it is. My stars of the game were Jordan Nwora, Kelly Olynyk, and Javon Freeman Liberty. Jakob Pertl's camp in Vienna, Austria has already sold out. It's fantastic. Good job, Jak. I'm very, very happy for you on that. So, yeah, if you wanted to go to that camp, you can't no more. It's not available for you any longer. Ha, ha, ha. Let's see. I did the Instagram stories. I don't need to talk about that. I've got the spreadsheet for the star points totals. We talked about that. We congratulated the fantasy winners. All right, we're done. I appreciate everybody for doing this season with me. It's been a tumultuous season, but we got through it together. And we're going to get through the summer together too. Tomorrow, Raptor Freak Tuesday trivia. We're back on an off-season schedule. So if you like Raptors trivia, we'll show up at 9:30 and have your answers ready for my questions. And I will have them ready for you at 9:30, I promise. Mike, get back in the mix. Logical Raptor Snack, Fiercely Salsera, the current leader in our trivia boards. Amit the GOAT second, Iceman LaGervin third, and Smooth Brown Man moving up in the ranks at 5th place right now. So it's still open. The playoffs are still open. Fiercey is on point to win right now, but it could change real quick. So get in there and play tomorrow, 9:30, Raptor Freak Tuesday trivia, back on the off-season schedule. I thank y'all once again. I love you guys. Raptor Freak family crew, forever strong. And I will see y'all. Yeah, and Monique wants me to remind y'all, June the 8th, Monique's birthday, if you can come, at the NBA restaurant. Let's go Raptors forever. And check out the media day. I'll watch it, and I'll react to it tomorrow after the trivia. All right, y'all, let's go. Let's go, Raptors.